Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high. Get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is Sunday, May 3rd, Monday, May 4th for those of you across the pond and beyond. Welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm so glad you guys could join us. I'm your host, TessaTNT, and I hope this week has been beautiful and relaxing for you. It's finally warmed up here in Colorado. So we've been doing a lot of outside work. Thank you for joining us on one of our many outlets. You can find us on Spreaker.com under We Are Periscope Media or We Are Paradox Media, Twitter, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, CastBox, Tumblr, YouTube, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Deezer, as well as Podcast Addict. So tonight I have a treat for all my guys and gals out there. Tonight we will be talking to and getting to know John and Karina of True North Paranormal. And True North Paranormal wants to strive to be the first successful Canadian-based paranormal investigation TV show to go global. TNP is based on the investigations of two paranormal researchers based out of Kamloops, British Columbia, Canada. John and Karina are a husband and wife team and hosts of TNP. Each episode will have a historic research component on the establishment, interviews with the owners, and those who have had experiences. An empath walkthrough during the daytime, and then a full nighttime investigation using night shot IR production cameras, stationary IR cameras, using night vision bursts, filming, motion temperature triggered cameras, and various ghost hunting equipment. These 1 hour long episodes and investigations will be produced in season 1 throughout the Western Canada, with a long-term goal of filming Canada-wide. The paranormal research and investigation sector of the TV industry is one of the most watched and rapidly growing demographics for public popularity. This sector of the TV industry is dominated by the USA based programs. True North Paranormal feels it is long overdue to add another great TV show with a Canadian flair. So Karina's journey has been filled with twists and turns in her quest to try to explain the unexplained. From age 8, she has been questioning what really lies beyond the veil of physical perception. She has felt different energies of people and objects. Hold on one second. And objects around her and wasn't quite sure how to interpret them. And she became increasingly interested and curious, leading her to listen to others' differing opinions and or practices, but not considering the mainstream. She chose what she considered the best of all beliefs and made them her own, discovering that she is an empath along the way. In addition, Karina also regularly uses her energy to help heal through the alternative healing methods such as Reiki, as well as meditation to gain spiritual... Man, my electronics are crazy today. I'm trying to find it. Man, this is crazy. To gain spiritual insight. John's story begins with being fascinated with the paranormal ever since he could remember as a small child. His friends would tell him ghost stories, and he would challenge them by coming up with a logical explanation. As skeptical as he was, he couldn't help but wonder if there might have actually been some truth in their stories. He spent the next 30 years trying to discover the truth for himself. It's what attracted him to become... Oh my goodness. Part of a team using his technical savvy to investigate with as much of a fine-tooth comb approach as possible. He has not only caught video and audio evidence of spirits, but he has seen evidence with his physical eyes. One example is a mist appearing during an investigation. He is open-minded and looking for rationality in the unexplainable with a constant want for truth. And I have Dean's on here too, but Dean's not able to join us tonight. But it looks like your team member Dean is also quite skeptical. Are you guys having any luck, like turning him to the other
Yeah.
side.
You know what? It's kind of cool having Dean there, because Karina's the I gotta believe, and Dean's the no, that's not possible.
Yeah.
And I'm the guy in the middle, so it's just everyone comes together. It's kind of cool that way.
Whenever Dean, if Dean gets scared, I love it. Like it's like icing on the cake.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So how long was he on the team before he started having experiences?
Dean is the one that put together True North Paranormal TV show. So he's the CEO and owner of Thunderboys Productions, Inc. So typically it was pretty well first time we were filming. Dean being the skeptic that he is, along with his partner Kent Mickey, who's the co-host for the show, Bushnell's Trigger Effect, ended up having the same experience. And I don't know, they saw a seat slam, and that was kind of the end of it. They both couldn't explain it, and to this day, Kent hasn't forgotten, nor has Dean. Dean's wife Denise, same deal. She's seen some pretty crazy things with us too. So I wouldn't say it's a matter of converting. There are things that Dean has seen that he can't explain, and
he leaves it at that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Dean is the one who first started the group, and that's very interesting that's how you guys actually met and got together.
Karina and I, well, it was years, I was in a Megadeth tribute act up in Canada called Rattlehead, and I made it a point, my job was pretending to be Dave Mustaine. So I made it a point to say hello to people when they message the group, and I'd always make sure to respond, because, you got to stay humble in life. So Karina messaged, and it took me about 2 weeks to even respond to her because I didn't know what to say. I was like, so we started talking, and Ghost was kind of the icebreaker.
That's awesome. So when was your earliest paranormal experience? And we'll start with Karina.
My earliest experience, that I remember. I'm trying to remember. I know I've had weird things happen throughout my life. I'm trying to think of the one experience that actually was the turning point.
What was the first thing you remember she said, though? What's your experience?
Yeah, it would have to have been in the last 8 years. And that probably was the most miserable thing about this, but it happened in a little town called Sandon. And it was just a series of events that creeped me out to no end, and it was in the middle of the day, and it was a beautiful sunny day, and I have never had anything like that happen before. So that is one that will stick with me forever, because not all scary things happen at night.
Very true. So what exactly happened?
Oh, gosh. We were filming an episode, and there was probably, 8 of us spread out throughout this house, and there were some goings on, and we have evidence of it on probably every single camera throughout the whole house. Something was happening, and the whole series of events that were being played out was just, it was so creepy and so amazing, and I can't even find the words to describe it, but I pretty much near the end had to leave the house. There was a couple of us that left the house right away, and they're like tourists walking past, and I'm like, oh my God. And it's a beautiful sunny day, and I'm like, what is going on in there? And it was just, you're gonna, that's an episode that you will want to watch. Sandon, BC.
So did you find the team, John, through Karina?
No, Karina and I were part of, we started another team. We were called the Canadian Paranormal Research Society. And we were in the right place, right time. I guess Dean, along with Denise, had decided they wanted to put together a new show. They had their hunting TV show on TV, and it was time to go in a different direction. So Dean started looking for, paranormal investigators. And I guess he saw us, he met with us, and he looked at us and he goes, "Well, do you guys want to be part of a TV show?" And we're like, "Yeah." I mean,
it was nice. We were only an hour away.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah. I mean, who gets the opportunity to do that in life, right? So we're pretty lucky. So it literally was just right place, right time. And now Dean and Denise, I mean, they become like really close friends of ours.
Yeah, they're like family now.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is with my paranormal group. It's like a paranormal family, and we're all very diverse. And it's awesome to have those different backgrounds because there's certain things one person will know that another one doesn't. How diverse is your guys' team? Like your backgrounds and beliefs and upbringings?
Well, okay, so I'll kind of let you know what Dean's background is. Dean himself, he's a biologist, so we do have the science background with True North Paranormal. So everything that Dean brings to the table has a scientific element to it. He rules things out using science. Me, I'm more the techie. I rely on my gear. I mean, anytime you watch True North Paranormal, you look, I'm wearing a vest, and in my vest there's like 5,000 pieces of tech in it. My millimeter's my go-to. So, I mean, it's, it doesn't lie, right? I mean, it can't. So.
No.
And then you can answer your own.
Yeah, I go by feeling. I can walk into a room and I know exactly how it feels in there. And sometimes it feels pretty nasty and I leave the room right away, or, it feels welcoming and I can take a nap. Or sometimes, there's something energy draining and I also want to take a nap.
Whole empath medium thing.
Yeah, so I go by emotions. Like I'm strictly feely.
So you go by the feelings and the hair raising. And when did you first realize that you were empathic?
It was probably about 10 years ago. I'm a big Star Trek fan, and I was kind of relating to this one character, Deanna Troi. And I'm like, what is it about her? And then I realized she's an empath. I'm like, empath, what is that? So I started Googling it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what I am. I didn't know that was a thing. And so that's how it became, because I was able to do all these weird things, and and once you can pinpoint what it is, then you can work on it and build it. And a lot of your answers, questions get answered. Yeah.
So, John, when was your first paranormal experience?
Mine was a lot like every other investigator who's not an empath medium, a medium or science guy. My grandfather had passed away, and it was really traumatic for myself and my brother. We came from a broken home, obviously, so our grandfather was like our father. So once he passed away, our grandma decided she wanted to have us over. So it must have been about 3 weeks down the road, and she has a 2-story house, and on the second story is where we were sleeping. So I came down middle of the night. I got really thirsty. I wanted some water. So I walked down the first flight of stairs, and I turned the corner on the landing, and there's my grandfather walking past. So, I froze. I don't know whether I was dreaming or whether it actually happened. But I know I flew down those stairs crying my head off because there was my papa, and he was nowhere to be found. So ever since that day, I've been on a quest to find out the truth and find out, is there something on the other side?
That's awesome. Do you think it was him as an intelligent spirit, or do you think that was like a residual where, he had walked through that area several times? Do you think he just came back to visit and say goodbye, or what are your thoughts on that?
I'd like to believe that was the case. But in my opinion, if I look at it as an investigator, it was an isolated event. He didn't make any contact. He didn't make any gestures. There was no words uttered. It was literally him walking from one room to the washroom. And I'd have to say it was something that would be residual. Kind of like seeing his energy that one last time, right? So
there's probably an area in the house that he frequented a lot.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Uh-oh, we lost your audio.
Sorry. Somebody was in the back and making a lot of noise, so I had to mute it for a second. But yeah, my history is quite similar where, you know, my mom was killed by a drunk driver and then my dad had a really hard time with it. And we actually went to visit our grandparents and ended up living there for a while. But I had so many paranormal experiences there. It was insane. So I know you were saying, like, while you were growing up that that your friends would tell you ghost stories and you'd even then, you know, try to pick it apart and make it logical or legitimate or whatnot. What caused you to have that certain theory at such an early age?
I wish I could answer that. I've been asked that by so many different media outlets. It's crazy. I really don't have a sensible answer. The only thing I can think of is my fascination with ghosts. You know, people were wanting to go to Disneyland, and I was looking at my mom going, "Can we go to a haunted house?" You know, that's always what I wanted to do. It's like I contributed to Scooby-Doo. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. You know, thanks, Scooby.
I contribute mine to horror movies. I grew up from a young age watching horror movies, and my mom loved her creepy movies, and the Amityville Horror will always be my number one movie.
Yeah, that was an amazing movie, yeah. Mm. I just recently showed my youngest daughter The Poltergeist. She loved it.
That's great.
That's how we grew up as well, like watching scary movies and enjoying the scare factor. My dad would always scare us by going outside and banging on the windows and stuff, but I can't think of a house that I've lived in that hasn't been haunted. It's been insane. This one started with one ghost, but I think because not only myself but my husband and my kids are gifted, that things are kind of attracted. So we get different things in and out. It's kind of like a beacon for the other side.
For sure. I guess you can relate better than I can to that.
Yeah, we have frequent guests that wander through the neighborhood.
So have you guys, do you think you've ever brought anything home after an investigation?
Yes. I know we did once. We actually, and for anyone in the States, I'm sure you guys have similar things down there, but there's the residential schools in Canada, which is probably the biggest blot on Canadian history. They were schools designed to basically purge an entire culture from a nation, which is beyond reportable. So we went to the residential school here in Canada, and we were walking through, and it's just, I don't know, you walk through and things start changing you. And, when we left, I was ashamed of the color of my skin. But it was the dreams I had after that. It was 2 or 3 nights where I had these really weird, vivid dreams of kids in the school. And it felt so real. Like, it was so weird. So I assume that would have been some leftover energy, because I'll tell you, the energy was crazy in there. I mean, you don't have to be an empath or a medium to feel it. Yeah. It was nuts.
And where exactly was this again?
It was the Kamloops Residential School.
It was right here in Kamloops.
Yeah. And this is where they would take, like, the tribal kids and try to educate them and change their names and cut their hair, or what exactly?
Yeah, that's what they wanted you to believe. I don't. I've read both sides of it. We started doing some research when we were doing it, and one of the big problems I had was, a lot of names on record were non-existent.
Yeah, they can't find any record of any of the names of the children that went to the school, which is weird. So
they used words weird. Like they were trying to civilize them. It was wrong. Yeah. Just wrong. And the propaganda video, we watched this propaganda video, and it's probably the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
It's crazy.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what tribe this was?
The Kamloops Tishikwetmik.
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of them. We have a reservation right down the road from us, which is a Ute reservation, and they had a place like that there that they've now turned into other things. But I guess back in the day, there was a creature that was there that was actually surrounded and supposedly shot, which is pretty strange, but it really tore the place up, and it sounded a lot like a Bigfoot, but I think it was something else. I'm not sure exactly what it was. Have there been any happenings like that up there on that property, or do you think it's mostly like the people that were affected by what they did?
I think it was mostly the people. We don't have any of those other sorts of phenomenon going on in our exact area.
I know a lot of the elders that I've had the privilege of speaking to, council members, they all say the same thing. It's the trickle effect, right? So, I mean, they're recovering. They're recovering from it, but an apology only goes so far.
Yeah.
So do you guys have a lot of hauntings in the town that you live in?
I don't like the word haunting.
Well, we do have a few here, but we've been actually traveling in our interior of British Columbia.
Yeah.
There seem to be a lot.
Vernon,
in the Okanagan, there's a lot.
Wow, Vernon, BC, I'm telling you, that place is a hotbed for paranormal activity.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Such a small town.
Yeah, but it's like a second home to me now. I love it there.
Yeah.
We've been back there so many times.
Yeah, I love Vernon.
Can you tell us about some of the investigations you've done there?
We can start. Yeah, no, you know what? We can talk about the one that's already been in theaters, because I guess that one can leak out.
The Powerhouse?
The Haunting of the Powerhouse Theater. There's that word I don't like using, but whatever, people relate to it. So.
What it is.
That one was just nuts. I mean, there was so many different things. So what happened there was it was actually a power station that powered the entire town of Vernon. And there was a day where the machine blew up and took out half the building. So instead of demolishing the building, they turned it into a theater. It's now a theater. But there were reports on a whole bunch of different things happening. There was a whistler. There was an angry guy who worked in the back. There was somebody who walked on the catwalk that's like 20 feet above the stage. So, of course, Dean and I are on this catwalk 20 feet above the stage. And it's pitch black. And this is kind of where Dean and I, we get made fun of by the girls with our Scooby-Doo moment. So we were in this corner. And I'm trying to provoke something. So we've been hearing footsteps. It was the weirdest thing. These footsteps were the same as you walking towards me. It was nuts. There we are standing in the corner. And like, if you're here, can you show me you're here? And we heard the footsteps start again. But this time they ran. They started accelerating and running. And we caught all this on camera. And Dean wanted to go one way and I wanted to go the other way. And we slammed into each other. And So I mean, there's good. That. The Whistler,
it's a
we
total
definitely
Scooby-Doo moment.
Yeah, right. It totally is. So that's the girls make fun of us for that to this day.
It's good.
The Whistler, we did catch evidence of.
Oh yeah.
And the Angry Man, we actually caught evidence of.
Yeah. You know that feeling when you're in a pitch black room, you have a few people in the room with you, but yet you're so scared that something could just jump out and grab you, and John couldn't get close enough. I was like mushing myself right into you. I'm like, oh my God, something's going down here. You know that feeling? I don't think I've felt that feeling since.
Yeah, no, that one was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Another one. Yeah, no, it was. I mean, you watched it was in theaters. So, I mean, it was a great thing. People loved it. We got a lot of compliments about it. But yeah, you watch it and it's just start to finish. It's just nonstop. And the thing was, we were only there for a night. Now, the thing people have to understand is when you're doing a TV show, you see it in a 1 hour segment, but you're there, sometimes 3 nights, sometimes 4 nights to get that 1 hour worth of stuff. So, I mean, we were lucky. This one was one night, literally one night.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So,
that was enough time for you.
Yeah. Well, it definitely was enough for Dean and I. Even Dean, he's like, yeah, there's something here. This place has activity. Even he couldn't dispute some of it. So.
Yeah.
So were there certain tragedies that happened there to cause people to stay, or do you think they were just attached to that place and really loved it, or there for some other reason?
One of them, Karina actually picked up on the angry guy. She described him, and he actually turned out to be an employee. A lady told us that he'd passed away. I don't know, how long was it before we filmed there?
Not long, I don't think. A couple of years, was it?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't remember.
Anyway, he's still there. That was a place for him. He just loved going to work and working. The trouble with the explosion is there were no reported fatalities, but this is going back before recorded fatalities could have been a thing, before there was, modern science, right? If somebody's blown to smithereens back then, are you really going to have enough to ID somebody, or are you just going to lump it in as, well, this is just something?
Yeah.
So, there wasn't any reports of fatalities, though I can't say that there weren't any.
That always makes it difficult when you can't find the records. Like, were they burned, or did they just not keep them at that point? Was there a flood? There's so many things that could happen to destroy records. But it'd be cool to, talk to some of the older people that know of, the lore and stuff in that area and find out what they know, perhaps, that might have gone on there. But that's interesting. And like you were saying, Karina, during the day, so many things happen. One of my favorite cases was during the day, and they were calling this particular ghost Emmy, which there is a ghost there named Emmy. She's a little girl. I'll send you guys the picture. But we found out her name is Kate Johnson. She was a prostitute back in the 1800s from Alamosa. She fell in love with a firefighter. He proposed to her, and they were going to elope, so he snuck her on the train, and being that she was a working girl, the brakeman had found them together, and fight ensued, and her fiancé ended up being stabbed to death.
Ooh.
And her madam, took really good care of her, and she gave her money to go to California and start her life over again and try to move on. But she ended up taking her own life by ingesting, I think it was muriatic acid, but I'm not sure, a very terrible way to go. But she was raised Catholic, so due to her beliefs, she was stuck there in her own sort of purgatory on that boxcar. And out of all things to release her was a Catholic school class. And she was gone for 3 months, but then due to free will, she came back, and she's there helping Emmy, because the brakeman's there too. I'll send you that picture as well that we got of him.
For sure.
But it's amazing, the different stories, and that's my favorite part, is finding the story.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite case that you can talk about?
My favorite, I can't, because it hasn't been released yet. Yeah, I know. I can tell you where it was, and I can tell you that it was probably one of the coolest investigations I've ever been a part of. So it was actually Fort Steele, BC. It was probably the most epic place you can go to. It's kind of like going back in time, very similar to Sandon.
Yeah.
But Sandon's a total ghost town, whereas Fort Steele, they keep it going, and it's a tourist thing, right? So I don't know. I can't tell you what went on there. But I can tell you that it is hands down my favorite place in Canada.
Can I talk to her about the Fort Steele thing that I had before, the dream I had before we went there?
No, because that ties in.
Okay. I have a favorite story about Fort Steele, too, and I can't talk about it because it's not aired yet.
Yeah. I guess you can say you had a dream,
okay.
And I guess just be very elusive.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. Okay, so I had a dream about a week before we went to Fort Steele, and in this dream, I met the spirit, and she was a woman, and she was so funny. She just made me laugh. And in this dream, she chased me, and I actually felt her chasing me, and I tripped and I fell, and I landed on my butt. And I couldn't stop laughing. I felt so ridiculous in this dream. I sat there on the floor, and I couldn't stop laughing. And John comes in, and he's like, "Are you okay? What's wrong with you?" And anyways, a week later, we're filming in Fort Steele, and I met that spirit.
That's all you can say.
That's all I can say.
You can't say anything else.
Did you fall on your butt?
I was so happy to have met her. I had a feeling I was going to meet her, though, but she's awesome. She's going to make me giggle again.
She's part of the reason why it's one of my favorite places.
Giggling uncontrollably.
Wow. That's an awesome experience. What an awesome energy she still has.
Yeah. Yeah.
She does. I can confirm that. It's kind of the thing that's good about us is Karina, when she gives her reads, it's actually kind of freaky because she's usually spot on. Mm-hmm. And this place she was not off.
Man, you're really freaking me out right now. Does she do that on a regular basis?
She's gotten better with it. That's for sure. I mean, she did it when our last filming tour. We went to Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, which is my hometown, and we were filming in this place called the Elemental Witchery and Conjure Boutique. And the owner and proprietor of the store told us. Now, she told me. She didn't even have time to tell Dean. She didn't have time to tell Kent Mickey, who was filming at the time with us in Winnipeg as well. And Karina, we tell everybody previous to even going there, you can't talk to Karina about anything, nothing, zero, zip, zilch, nothing. She disclosed to me that her family pet had passed away a couple days prior to us getting there. And Karina walks in, and I'm setting up downstairs, getting all my tech ready. Well, Dean and Kent are filming Karina's walkthrough, and she starts talking about this cat. She keeps seeing this cat. And it just, I don't know, it made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It's just like, it's just freaky.
Yeah, I kept hearing the cat, you know the sound a cat makes when it jumps down from furniture, the clump or whatever. I kept hearing it, and it kept going through my feet, and yeah, it was all over the place.
The ever first, animal spirit I ever encountered was a cat, and it was a black cat. And I'd seen this thing twice, and I was living in a matchstick house in Mancus, and it was actually two of them put together to make one house, and these had come from Mesa Verde. They used to be cabins that the people that worked up there would live in, but they sold them off, and my landlord had bought them and put them together. But first time I saw it, I almost stepped on it. I'm standing in front of the heater, and I go to step to the left, and this black cat just scurries into my bedroom, and I looked everywhere. I tore the place apart looking for that cat. And then the second time I saw it, it jumped behind the couch, which it wasn't back there. And that was the very first encounter with a ghost animal that I had ever seen. And I think I was 22 at the time.
Wow.
And I had never really thought about animal spirits before, But now today I feel like everything has a spirit or an aura or an energy about it.
That's
right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've ever come across any other animal.
I know Dean got scared by an animal. That was kind of funny, too.
Oh, yeah.
I'll talk about that. He's not here to defend himself. And Dino, I'm sorry, buddy. I know you're the boss, but I got to share this one. So we were filming in Fort Steele, and I can talk about this because it won't be in the episode. And Dean kept hearing this noise. It was off into another room. And I was trying to see what he was looking at, and I'm shining my flashlight in there. And we have IR, so I have to make sure he turns his IR off so we don't flare out the camera and destroy the iris. So he shut it down, and I'm looking in there, and I didn't see anything. And I turned my light off, and Dean turns the camera back on, and this cat brushes up against his leg, and I've never seen that guy jump so high in my life. That was probably one of the funniest Dean moments I've ever seen.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Too bad he's got prior engagements.
That's it's okay. I'll have to tell him I shared his story. Now everyone else is going to know about it.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's crazy. The second one I saw was just this last year, and it was a deer. And the first part of it looked like a deer, but the rest of it was just like a streak of fawn-colored light, basically. It's pretty crazy. I think that one might be residual, like it went to run across that road and got hit, and now it's just there. But that was crazy. And my husband saw it too, and I was like, did you see that? Like, I thought it was a deer, but it was a ghost of a deer. It was pretty crazy.
That is neat. Huh.
Have you guys ever found anything malicious on an investigation?
Yes.
Yes. This was the moment that I was talking about earlier in Sandon, BC, that I can't really talk about. But
we can give a little bit of, well, it happened to me. It didn't even happen to you. You're the one that noticed it. We can talk about that because that wasn't on camera.
Okay, yeah.
So the same place that this was the very first night investigation, and I can say the house. It's the White House.
Okay, yeah.
We were in the White House, and we were investigating, and it's all sorts of wrong. The backstory we can give, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So the backstory is the father basically imprisoned his children there and did some really not nice things to one of his daughters. So The family, this one bothers me still. The family was stuck there. So you can imagine the daughters and all that being stuck with the dad. So we're investigating, and I didn't think anything of it. I mean, we went in, I did my job. I came out, we, turned the cameras off, started unloading all the footage onto the computers, and decided, okay, well, we're not going to go back in tonight. It's 3:30 in the morning. There's no sense in going back in because it started getting quiet. So we went to bed that night, woke up the next morning to have some breakfast, and I'm going to put my True North Paranormal shirt on, and Karina's like, you have a scratch on your back. And yeah, I gave her my phone. I'm like, you got to take a picture. I don't know how I could have gotten a scratch. The weird part is I didn't feel it, but yeah, there was a scratch. So I was definitely scratched by something very malicious.
That's crazy. And it's funny, when you were talking about that, your sound started breaking up. So it made me wonder, do you feel like this scratch on you...
No, there she is. She's moving again.
Do you think that this scratch on you caused an attachment? Do you feel like this spirit might still be there, or do you think it stayed where it was?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. We're just to be clear, if we lose you, we're really sorry. It could very well be on our end. We're having a storm roll in here, so not sure if that's going to do anything. So we apologize in advance.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, I was just saying how your sound started to break up when you were telling about the scratch and everything. And a lot of times when a spirit does this, it causes an attachment. Do you feel like this caused an attachment for you?
Okay, you cut in and out, but I think you're asking me if the scratch caused an attachment to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. No, I don't think that caused an attachment to me. If anything, it was just an act of aggression. It was a simple act of aggression. In my experiences, I've had things thrown at me. I've been pushed. I've been scratched. I've had my shirt pulled all in front of the camera even. And yeah, no, this wasn't any different than anything else. This was just this is my home.
I would describe it as a temper tantrum.
Yeah, basically a grown man's hissy fit.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
You're coming between me and my family, and you're not welcome here. Get out of my home.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel it.
No, that's the weird thing. You rarely do, I think. Sometimes I guess you feel it, but I don't think John was the only person on that trip that ended up with a scratch.
No, we won't talk about the others.
Yeah.
So when that happened, did you use anything like when I got scratched? I only got scratched twice, and it was by the same entity. And I sprayed holy water on it. And this is something a friend of mine had given to me that she had gotten from her church. And it was in a spray bottle, so I sprayed it on there the first time this thing scratched me, and only left 2 marks on my side. And it went away like immediately when I sprayed the holy water on it. And then the second time it scratched me, it left 3 marks. And it's weird. Did you feel any sort of weird reaction within your body when this happened?
I didn't myself, no. I wouldn't have even noticed if Karina wouldn't have pointed it out. I had no clue.
That's insane. Yeah, the second time I sprayed it, it took a lot longer for it to go away. But I think it's because it left the complete 3 marks. But I don't think it's always something demonic. Like you said, it could be a spirit having a temper tantrum or trying to get your attention.
Yeah.
Demonic's kind of another word I have a tough time with. It's so overused. It's not that I disbelieve in the possibility of a demonic entity. I just don't think every negative interaction is a demon. Mm-hmm. And this one definitely I don't think was the case. I mean, there were three scratches or 4?
Only a couple, 2 or 3.
Yeah, okay. The way I treated it, though, is I don't follow, Christian belief. I follow the native beliefs. So the first thing I did is I went down to the river and cleansed.
Nice.
So, I mean, something that, Dean's very big on, as am I, as is Karina, is your faith is your strongest weapon. Whatever your faith is, that's your strongest weapon. Mm-hmm. So, I just kind of went where mine was. And just to be safe. But I don't feel any different. I didn't feel like I had an attachment or anything.
No, yeah.
It's interesting. You were saying this father and these kids are still stuck with this man. Like, even in the afterlife, this guy still has possession over them, and they don't know any better. We actually had a case like that as well, and it's crazy. The entity that we got on camera looked like a glowing skeleton with its head on fire. And the dad was not abusive to these kids, but the stepmom was, and she would lock them in the rooms. And there was a fire, and I think all the kids burned up, but they felt like they were still stuck there. Like they still have that control, but we let them know, like, you're free to go. You don't have to stay here. Like, they have no control over you. And it's just insane, like, how strong the belief system is, that it can carry over to the other side like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. Mm.
So when you guys do cases, do you do like cleansings with sage or anything, Palo Santo or anything like that to cleanse the space? Do you teach the person how to do that for themselves as well?
We, with True North Paranormal, again, we believe a person's faith is their best bet. We wouldn't want to go into a Catholic home and try to bring a native tradition to cleanse it, because it's not going to work.
I have had people ask me to come cleanse their house, and I have brought my sage, and I have cleansed it for them. But that's only if they ask me specifically to do it.
Yeah, with True North, we will recommend what you should do. Again, we want to respect every individual and, their culture, their belief system. So Dean himself, he's a pipe carrier in the Métis path. So, I mean, that's one thing we have. Again, Karina, she's pagan. I myself, well, I'm not really anything. I just follow the native belief system. So I guess that
you're
would
not
be
religious. You're spiritual.
I guess that would be mine. So
yeah,
we will recommend. We won't ever put ourselves in a position where this is the way it should be. 'Cause, I mean, that comes across as so disrespectful. And then, you work so hard to get, credit to where you are today. Word of mouth spreads pretty quick.
It really does.
Yeah.
It can be the best advertisement. It could be the worst. So when you guys do these certain cleansings, do you consider the spirit that's there? Because, I mean, here we use sage and Palo Santo quite a bit. And we do have pagan members on our team that make their own holy water or holy oil or other things like that. And we'll use sweetgrass even. Like, there's so many different things. But I think with these unrested native spirits or different things that are going on that are native, I think the sage does work the best for those. But like you're saying, it's important to respect the client as well, and to do what they believe in and try to do it that way.
Yeah, everything's a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, it's kind of like the paranormal, right? There's no tried and true method.
No, and every story is different.
Absolutely.
So it's funny, being pagan, we had a case where there were fae, like fairy. Have you ever encountered fairies?
No, I have seen them out of the corner of my eye because they're quick little buggers.
Yeah.
I heard that they can be quite mischievous. Mm-hmm. I do have a symbol painted on one of my costumes that is supposed to attract the positive ones. And then I have other symbols to attract them, period. So I try to keep the bad ones away. But I've only seen them out of the corner of the eye, so they're quite elusive.
And they're very strong, too. We actually had a case where it was fae. It wasn't an angry spirit or anything. It was fairies. And I had no idea what to do. And that's where having a team that is so diverse comes in really handy, because Linda and Jamie over here are like, well, I know what to do, toast and honey and milk and all these other things that fairies like. And they also said a good way to appease them if you piss them off, which these guys were pissed, is to do like a little fairy garden or whatever, a place, where they can go and enjoy and whatnot. But that was the very first time I ever encountered that. And I think I was 38 or whatnot at the moment. But It blew my mind. Like, I had always believed in them because I believe anything's possible, but I'd never encountered them, and they are so strong. It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun.
And I've also heard of Fae and Bigfoot working together. Have you guys heard anything like that?
No, I have
No.
not. But that intrigues me. Bigfoot intrigues me.
I'm the opposite. I don't know. It's never done anything for me.
Yeah. No, I've read some books on Bigfoot, and I haven't encountered anything close to anything being Bigfoot, but I've always loved the subject. They're out there.
Yeah, we actually worked on a site, which was an old mine that had been abandoned, and the locals would go up there and shoot, but they were up there trying to get the toxic chemicals out of the mine and put them into tanks and haul them off and dispose of them however they may. And so we were doing overnight security and during the day, and boulders started being thrown down this mountainside and into the riverbed. And I think it was a Bigfoot being agitated that we were there, because a bear can walk by and knock like pebbles down or whatnot, but you could tell the difference between that and boulders being thrown.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I
Yeah.
don't know. There's so many different stories and variations and such. Have you guys done any investigations where you have encountered Bigfoot or people that have issues with Bigfoot?
No.
Not with True North Paranormal, and not with CPRS either.
No. The closest we've been was we did a paranormal investigation at a place called the Sasquatch Inn. So that was the closest we've
There's
been.
actually a picture of me with a Bigfoot guy.
Yeah.
No.
I love this, yeah.
With True North, one of the things that we really set out to do, and this is kind of what really got us going, is we were always there to help people to, jump in and assist where need be. So we always focused on the entities, the things you can't see versus the things you can, right? Because things you can see are sure, they're scary, but things you can't are a lot scarier,
And even I have discovered this last year that I can be scared of the dark. I can be scared of going into a dark corner of a room. I'll just go walk right around it and everybody's laughing. I'm like, I don't care. I don't like the feel of that corner. I'm not going there.
It's my job.
And then you think about it after. It's like, why am I scared? I mean, you think about it, well, it must be a big mental process because there's nothing there that can actually harm you, but what's going through my mind? So I don't know. I'm trying to deal with that right now. I'm trying to, be brave.
We'll still make fun of you.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of the dark. I'm afraid of what's in the dark.
Yeah, that's it.
It's kind of funny talking about the dark. It's now when Dean and Kent and I get together, because Dean and Kent have been filming so long together with Bushnell's Trigger Effect, I know that I'm about to get the crap end of the stick. And they find the darkest corner to stick me in and go investigate over there. It's like, really, guys? Come on. Fine, I'll go. But, they actually did that in Winnipeg at a place called the Marlborough Hotel, which is one of the most haunted locations in Winnipeg. We're in the basement and they have the old boilers from the old hotel in there still.
Yeah.
And, beside it, there's this little access tunnel. And Dean and Kent both look, and I'm like, what? And they're like, you got to go down there. I'm like, why, man? There's not even anything down there. I'm like, no, you got to go down there. It's like, all right, sure. If something grabs me, I'm out.
Do you get hazard pay for that?
Yeah, right. You'd think so. No, it's all fun.
For this.
Yeah, I think I like the adrenaline in it.
Yeah.
It can be addictive, and I don't know. I started my group in 2012, and it was due to a terrible thing that happened to a friend of my daughter's around Thanksgiving. And instead of hiding in the paranormal closet like I was used to, for me the paranormal was normal, but to people that I'd share it to, they treat me like I was a freak. So I kept it to myself forever, and then when this happened to Dylan Redwine, which was my daughter's friend, I decided to come out of the paranormal closet, is what I call it, and start my own group. And I'm so glad I did, because it's so freeing. Did you guys ever have to deal with that sort of thing throughout your interest in the paranormal, or being in a group, people judging you and putting you down for what you're doing?
Oh, most definitely. I kept quiet about every single weird thing that's ever happened to me. I probably didn't even start talking about it until about 10 years ago. And then, I think I was watching Paranormal State, and when that show came out, I'm like, oh my God, these people are just like me. And so I was so happy that people were out there doing this, and I thought that was amazing.
I don't think I ever really cared what people thought of me. This was where my passion was, because the thing was, I was such an isolated kid. It was hockey and guitar and ghosts for me as a kid, and that's
right?
it. Yeah, like, I'm as Canadian as it gets, right? So I mean,
right?
It's hockey. I didn't care if people judged me, and the cool part was, I think a lot of the kids that I talked to in elementary school, they all liked the ghost stories too. So it made it a little more easier for me. Whereas, as I got older, it was like, what, this is what I do. There's people out there that need help, and I'm going to keep doing this, and I don't care what people think, And that's always been my mindset. It's just people need help. You got to help them.
Yeah, and I was so surprised at the reaction, because like I said, to me it was normal, and for people to react that way to me was just very off-putting, so I quit talking about it unless I knew somebody really well and they had experiences too that they'd share with me, then I'd share it, but otherwise, that was kind of dampened down for me. Did you guys ever have a time in your life where the paranormal activity ceased for like 3 or 4 years and then came back?
No, not that I can think of. We're pretty lucky that way.
With me personally, there was a year or two time period where I thought I lost my powers, as I call them, my empathic powers. I didn't feel anything. I didn't know what was going on. And then somebody mentioned to me, but you were pregnant. So, and I think that was my body's way of shutting down and protecting itself. So I didn't feel, I didn't pass it on. So I think, and then everything started coming back again, and I started feeling again. I'm like, oh, okay, thank goodness. Still got it. So that was what happened to me.
Yeah, it was weird from the age of, I think it was 7 to about 10 or 13. It was a really long gap. I actually had gotten baptized into the Mormon or LDS church, and after that, I didn't have any activity for quite a while. And then all of a sudden, I think I was 13, it started up again, where I would hear my name being called and I'd see shadow people and stuff. But I seem to have a sleep disorder. Like, I don't go to sleep until 3 or 4 in the morning. And since this whole lockdown thing started, now it's later. It's like 5 or 6 in the morning.
Yeah, we all have later bedtimes now. I'm still on filming schedules, for crying out loud. I mean,
It's like a paranormal PTSD, I think. As a kid, I'd sit up at night and wait for something to happen. And I still do it today. But since the lockdown, for you guys too, it's just gotten later. Everything's out of control.
It's funny. I introduced Karina to a game called 7 Days to Die, and we'll sit there playing that together all night on our computers.
Oh, I'm a video game junkie now.
Man, you can stay up forever doing that. We have an after party on this show, and I stay up way too late on that all the time. But luckily my husband understands finally. Like, at first he's like, are you coming to bed? And I'm like, no, I'm not tired yet. I'll go to bed, but I'll toss and turn, and I won't go to sleep until this certain hour. So it's better that I don't keep you awake. But man, he can go to sleep like that. And,
she does.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, me too. It's, I go to bed, and, we watch TV before we go to bed, and Karina will be like, okay, it's time to go to sleep. All right, turn the TV off, and, she's snoring within 2 minutes. Like, really?
Now I have direct TV on my phone, so I'll either watch paranormal shows, and Travel Channel turns that off around 2 or 3 or so. So then I'll go over to YouTube, and then I'll watch paranormal shows over there. But it's kind of like my comfort zone, I was even listening to Ghost Adventures while I was in the shower, and they were doing an exorcism of a house, and my daughter comes in, and she's like, doesn't that freak you out? And I'm like, no, I'm totally comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's normal.
Part of the trade.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, we are going to go to our first musical break. And on this break, we have Gravity from Krakow, Poland. Let me get my list out here real quick and let you guys know what the songs are. Actually, it'll be easier just to go over here. So they're from Krakow, Poland, and all of our artists on our musical break are original artists, and they'll be singing Throw You Away and Take a Walk in My Shoes. And then we have Mr. Fred Johnson III, who is from Canyon County, California, with After Dark, and he is my favorite artist of all time on this list. But you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this musical break. Alright, so on this break...
Down the street, thinking all the things you said you need. Well, don't you tell me, baby, how do you feel? So I walk down the street, thinking all the things you said you need. Well, don't you tell me, baby, how do you feel? Don't you take a walk? Well, don't you take a walk? In my shoes, why don't you take a walk? Before you tell me what to do, don't you take a walk? Don't you take a walk? My shoes, why don't you take a walk? Before you tell me what to do. No, it's easy. You tell me what to do. Have you ever stopped to think all the things that I've been through? No, it's easy. You tell me what to do. Have you ever stopped to think all the things that I've been through? Don't you take a walk? Don't you take a walk? In my shoes, don't you, baby, take a walk? Before you tell me what to do. Don't you take a walk? Don't you take a walk? In my shoes, don't you, baby, take a walk? Before you tell me what to do. Concerning works,
Welcome back, you guys, and thanks so much for tuning in tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Sorry about that delay. I got caught up talking about how I almost was Canadian because my grandmother was Canadian, but somehow she made her way down here. And then Karina was saying she was almost American because her family comes from, you said, Philadelphia?
Yeah, my grandfather was born in Philadelphia.
Oh, wow.
So I'm not even sure how. I forget the story about how he ended up in Canada, but that's the way it is.
Strange how things happen. Yeah, I have no idea how she ended up here. She was from, well, they lived in several places, but the last place was Alberta Raymond, and she was in the Royal Canadian Air Force. She served a mission and went to Hawaii, and then somehow ended up in Arkansas, of all places.
Wow. It's quite the jump.
How'd that happen? So have you guys ever had experiences with, like, hauntings of family members? Do you have family members that come in and check on you, or visitations and dreams?
I guess I'll start that. My answer's a little different. I don't. The thing is, I have a hard time without having evidence believing that there ever is something there. However, I've had 2 mediums tell me that my grandfather, who was the one that passed away, frequently stops in to check on me. So I know the one, she started describing him to a T, and it just brought tears to my eyes. It was pretty weird. But
didn't you smell his pipe tobacco or something?
Yeah.
You smelled...
He's the reason I like it.
Yeah. You started smoking pipe tobacco because of that.
Do you smoke cherry, or what kind?
I actually smoke Captain Black's Deluxe. So it's not like cherry. It's a really aromatic.
I had a neighbor growing up on Elm Street in Cortez, Colorado. It's crazy where you end up in life. I've lived in so many places. Colorado is my favorite, though. I'll stay here forever. I'll go back to Arkansas and visit because that's where my family is, and that's where my parents are buried. But he used to smoke cherry tobacco, and I was so fond of that smell. He'd be out gardening with his pipe hanging out of his mouth, and I'd just go over and talk to him because that smell just drew me to him. It was very sweet. I also have a tin back here of velvet tobacco. That's what my grandparents used to smoke, and that's very, very, like you said, aromatic. And it brings back so many memories.
Yeah, I don't think anyone complains about my pipe tobacco.
No. It's not like cigarette smoke. It's different.
Yeah, cigarette smoke is terrible. Cigars
but sometimes,
are too.
I'm an ex-smoker, and sometimes it smells good still. So
It was funny when I was in boot camp. I remember when we got our belongings back right before we graduated from boot camp, and I was just smelling my jacket because it smelled like cigarettes. Just certain smells, and it's so hard to quit because it's like so abundantly available, and I've tried to quit so many times, but I'm no quitter. I wish I could, though. Man, these different vices. Maybe if they charged more, I'd quit. I don't know.
Maybe,
yeah.
So as far as dreams go, like, the only time I've ever seen my mom after she passed was in dreams. And they're so realistic. The very first time was about a week or 2 after she died. She came and saw me. And it was funny. I was walking across this park on a sidewalk, and there's trees on each side, and there's grass. And then there's this bench, and I can see this person walking towards me. And it's funny how we met right there in front of the bench, and then sat down. And I was almost 6 at this time. And she's telling me that everything's okay, everything's going to be okay. And then she said, tell your brothers and sister, and she was saying by name, and your dad, that it's all going to be okay and I'm okay. And then she had to go. And then I remember seeing this room with windows and people inside the room. And she went back into this room. So it's really crazy. Like, what is on the other side? Are there certain rules, and is that why they can't come and visit you as often as they'd like? Or what exactly is happening? It's just really crazy.
I know, and see, there's so many questions like that, and we're never going to really know the answers until we get there.
But that's why we do.
Yeah.
We do what we do because we want to try to get that information,
Yeah.
I mean, whether you look at it from a, mortality perspective or not, we'd love to believe that there's something after this for the sake of our own sanity.
I read a lot of Sylvia Browne books, and, one of the ones I was actually just talking about today was called The Other Side and Back. And so she can explain, because she was, one of the most famous psychic mediums out there. She can explain to you exactly what goes on there. It's been so long since I read those books, though, that I forgot it all. But I remember the important parts.
She did write a lot of books, and then there was a lot of flack on her. Like, a lot of psychics get attacked. And I heard that she charged, way too much money to some people for some psychical work or whatnot, but she was very on target, I thought.
Yeah, I didn't. I think near the end, she may have been having health problems, maybe financial problems, and that could have... I think I finally got to see her maybe a year before she died, and she was in bad health then, so I don't know. And yeah, a lot of people, what they expect of psychics is to know everything and be 100% accurate all the time. And it's something that you can't turn on. You can't turn it off. You don't know what information you're going to get or when. So I think people have high expectations when it comes to that kind of stuff.
I hope everybody's okay over there. Every time I hear a siren, I'm like, I hope everybody's okay. It's insane. So what are the numbers like over there? I don't even know what the numbers are in my county. How is it going with the COVID-19 or coronavirus in your guys' area?
British Columbia is, we're okay. It looks like we flattened the curve here. There's unfortunately been fatalities, province to province, the same as state to state. There's been fatalities. And unfortunately in British Columbia, it's a lot of the elderly that are the ones passing away. Mm-hmm. It's affecting care homes and such. So, it's...
Over here, though, we're doing pretty good with staying at home and, making sure we don't go anywhere. I haven't left the house in, 5 or 6 weeks.
Yeah, we were supposed to film and supposed to go to a hockey game.
Yeah, we had a lot of things canceled. So life is put on hold right now.
Yeah, it is insane. So many things are crazy. And I don't know if you guys have kids, but now I have to be a teacher too on top of everything else. How am I supposed to do this? And it's cool because the principal did a video and she's like, don't worry, we have kids too. And it's been really crazy trying to convert over to doing school for our kids and doing our job and all these other things that we have to do. And it's been like a battle. I'm used to staying at home. I'm a homebody unless I'm going on an investigation or have to go to the store. My husband will not stay home. And I'm like, dude, you keep this up, I'm going to have to get a restraining order. And I'm not trying to cause panic because I know Mooney panicked last time, but he's seriously compromising us. And he doesn't quite get it. It's very serious. Cortana, oh my goodness. My AI on my phone just turned on and I did not touch that.
That's kind of what we've been... I know True North Paranormal, we do live streams all the time, and we always tell people since the COVID-19 pandemic started, just stay home. If you can do it, stay home. Think about, your families. Think about, the strangers you'd come in contact with. And I've also been a big advocate for it. It doesn't matter whether you like a prime minister or not, or whether you like a president or not, or whether you think it's a conspiracy theory or not. It doesn't matter right now. What matters is people are dying. It's a very real thing. So let's all get together as human beings.
That's right.
Yeah, it was really aggravating that a lot of people, especially Trump's supporters, I can't even say it clearly without trying to throw up. No, but
they didn't. In the back of your
yeah, they didn't believe this was actually happening, and they're like, "This is just because he didn't get impeached," and they're trying to do this. This has nothing to do with Trump or anything like that. This is worldwide. This is affecting everyone. And I never thought I'd be in times like this. And I always revert back to my patriarchal blessing that I got when I was LDS. And they said that I'd be a leader among women during apocalyptic times, which I don't think this is it. I think this is just a little taste of something. But even with the Spanish flu, Texas, I think it was Austin or Houston, Texas opened up early, and they actually had not just one round, but 3 rounds with the Spanish flu, and a lot of people died. So everybody needs to try to be patient and stay home and just enjoy your time off from work or work from home or whatever you're doing. But stay home. It's important. If you go out, wear a mask and wear gloves, because we still don't even know how it's transferred. It's really, really creepy.
Boy. Yeah, it's pretty scary out there.
Yeah, it is.
I'm enjoying the time, with the family and everything. So.
Yeah, it's like nobody ever has time to spend with their family, but now you have so much time.
Hence the 7 days to die thing.
Yeah.
And I have no car. I can't escape. I can walk places. No, but it's been interesting, and it helps you, I think, for a lot of people that are used to the working world and are always on the, bump and grind and working 2 or 3 jobs just to support a family. It kind of puts things back into perspective, like you were saying, with your family is so important. But yeah, it's important. Stay home, for Pete's sake. I'm going to have to get a leash or a shock collar or something for my husband. Stay home. He's just a social butterfly. He can't help it. That's really irritating me.
And I know what's been really cool is I'll play what's that? Oh, Elder Scrolls. I'm playing Elder Scrolls.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Dean.
Him and Dean are playing video games together.
So me and Dean can't film together right now, but we're gaming together. And, the girls do what they do, making fun of us. So it's definitely working out. Just like filming, but not filming.
Yeah. Still spending time together and interacting through the internet, which is awesome with Skype, or even on Messenger now. They have this Messenger thing where you can go on video with a whole bunch of people and actually wear different faces. A friend of mine, Chris Garcia, he was on the show last night, and they've been doing that. There's a chick that looks like, so she looks like she's Japanimation, but actually she looks like the chick from Criminal Minds, the one that does all the tech work.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
But it's fun how they can do different things. But it's cool. Like, we can all hang out on the internet, see faces. We can't hug. And it was funny. I saw my best friend in the store, and we were both wearing masks, and we did this, hug across the aisle to each other. Hugs. I love you. Social distancing, man. People don't get it. And even my 5-year-old and 7-year-old stay 6 feet away. We have a neighbor kid named Jameson. And he kind of encroaches on territory. But I bought him a mask, too. So they've all been running around wearing their masks. I haven't shared that on the internet yet, but I'll have to do that. So have you guys had, a dampening effect, even though you go into certain places? And you guys are together anyways. Do you not go on investigations anymore? You're just staying home?
No, right now True North Paranormal has shut down. Thunder Boys made the decision that our TV show, in addition to Bushnell's Trigger Effect, was going to shut down during the pandemic until restrictions, are obviously lifted enough where it's safe that we can resume doing it. So right now I know we get contacted all the time, and we're telling people just be patient, we'll get there, but it can't be now. Mm-hmm. We can kind of guide you, but that's the best we can do right now.
Yeah, everything has a big pause button.
Yeah, the closest I've come to an investigation is checking out the tree fort under the giant pine trees in my backyard. Just recently, and it's funny, when I was pregnant with my daughter, my son and my other kids, and quite a while ago, my oldest kids saw this girl wearing a white dress with pigtails. And then when I was pregnant with my daughter Lily, my son was like, "There's a little girl that's following you around." And I was like, "Oh, it's probably just Lily." In a spiritual manner, following me around, even though she's in my belly, she's showing up as a bigger girl. But then he saw her 2 weeks ago following me around as I was watering my plants and stuff. And he said she had pinkish red hair, and she was wearing a white dress, and she was following me. So I don't think it is Lily. I'm trying to figure out who the heck this is. And even out this window right next to me, during the after party, it was 1:30 or 2 in the morning, I heard this little girl say, "Hello?" hello through the window. And I was like, did you guys hear that? And they did. Like, my house is
Wow.
crazy. What the hell is going on? And how come these things keep showing up in white dresses? Is it to try to gain your trust? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's actually, Dean and I have been talking about it where, I do a segment called John's Rants. I don't think there's an explanation. Another one of my big things Dean and I always laugh about is, why is every ghost from the 1800s?
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Why are they all from the 1800s?
So just keep watching for that. It'll be funny. John's Rants. It can be about anything.
And here's another one. Why don't we ever come across spirits of dinosaurs? What happened to them? You can get real technical.
That's funny you said that, because that's what I was going to say. And it's funny here in the Four Corners area, down in Dove Creek and Cortez, people have actually taken pictures, and it looks like a T-Rex, but the grass is like this tall, and this little T-Rex thing is like this tall. So I think there's still things running around. We just don't see them very often. It's so weird how things die off and then they come back. Is this a spirit of a dinosaur, or is this actually a freaking dinosaur?
Huh.
I don't think that would creep me out as much as little kid spirits do. I don't know why those creep me out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it's The Shining's fault.
No, that's not even that. It's just, I don't know, something about kids.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, you want to help them. You want to try to help them and try to help them find their mommy or daddy, or why are they still here? Or is this a demon trying to gain your trust and showing up as a kid?
Yeah, it's creepy.
There's 1,000,001 possibilities out there, and that's our job to find those 1,000,001 possibilities.
It's just capturing the evidence. And you said that Dean uses a scientific method, and that's been a topic in the paranormal for a long time. How do you use the scientific method to find the paranormal? You basically have to put this house in a tent in a sterile environment and get the same reaction repeatedly. But there's actually tools like the paranormal puck picks up on humidity, pressure, all kinds of different things.
There are tools, and I mean, when it comes to the tech, that's more my forte. Like I was saying, my millimeter's always in my vest of many thousands of items.
The FLIR.
I have the FLIR there. That's right on cue. I got my SB11. My SB11 I've had great success with. But when it comes to Dean's thing, the thing is, when we go into a location, we don't like Karina films during the day. Karina and Denise will go do the empath medium walkthrough during the day and film. This way, when it comes to the nighttime investigation, it's just Dean and I. And we know it's just Dean and I. So anything that happens in there, it's just Dean and I. And usually stuff happens to Dean and I. And poor... Sometimes Dean gets the worst end of it because things will start making noises around him. I think it's kind of funny, and I'll poke at him for it. But, it's always John and Dean that get the bulk of it.
Yeah.
So.
But because Dean is such a skeptic, he wants to, make sure that everything is looked at, everything is debunked that can be debunked, so you can come up with a conclusion that, yes, definitely this cannot be explained.
Our mentality is pretty simple. We don't go into a building going, it's haunted. Mm-hmm. We don't go into a building going, it's not haunted. We go into a building with the mentality of, let's let the evidence tell us if there's something going on here. It's kind of like I said, the word haunted bothers me. It's an overused term, very similar to demonic or demon. It's just an overused term.
Yeah, I don't know if you've watched our very first paranormal probe that we have out, but we went and investigated this house because there was all sorts of weird activity and things going on. And in the end, it was actually no paranormal activity. It was a lot of EMF. The EMF was so high, it was causing my senses to go crazy. It would cause dizziness. It causes so many nasty things that that's what it was in the end, eh?
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I know, I just caught myself like, oh my God, I just said it.
Waiting for someone to say something.
She's not Canadian, eh? Or
gotta go get some jelly donuts from the shed, eh? Take you hoser.
I gotta put on my toque. It's too cold outside.
There you go. I was waiting. I wasn't sure which of us would slip up.
Yeah.
Right? It's all good. CANADA.
Yeah.
I often call it Canadia. I don't know why. Canadia.
Canadiana.
Yeah.
Welcome to Canadia. I have to go visit. I got to see my grandma's stomping grounds. I've heard so many good things, and I do have a lot of friends from Canada. We actually have one in the chat room now by the name of Dennis Dyke, and I actually got to meet him. Him and his family came down, and we went out to dinner and stuff, even though Dennis isn't much of an eater. He's more of a drinker, but he was amazing. It was so good to see him in person and give him a hug and stuff. But hello, Dennis Dyke. Thank you for joining the show tonight. Yeah, we have so many people all over the place. We even have people from Australia and the UK, and it's amazing to meet so many different people through the interweb.
That's one thing that, I find still humbling, that I to this day, it just blows me away. We see people from Ireland. Hey, how you guys doing? Love you guys. It's like, wow, it's so humbling. It really is. Ireland and Australia, and,
Germany.
Sweden, Germany. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing, beautiful world.
It really is. Like you said, it's humbling.
Oh, did she freeze?
It's a very good word for it.
There,
Can you hear me now?
It totally is. I can hear you now.
Yeah, you're good.
You're like the Verizon commercial now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how many Ethernet cords I have here. Everything should be working fine. But, I'm in the very back corner of the house, in my own little realm. I love it here. But, yeah, it's amazing to meet different people and see what's going on over there. And there's paranormal activity everywhere. Have you guys ever considered, visiting places within the U.S.? I mean, Canada is so huge. There's got to be so many hauntings all over the place. You guys could take your whole life and not even visit every place that's haunted. Because I know how John loves that word.
Yeah, right. The thing with True North is stick to Canada, because Canada there's so many stories to tell. There's so much history from coast to coast to coast. There's so much history in this country. And I love the United States.
I have a list of places in the States that I do want to visit.
But in terms of filming, because we're a Canadian show, we want to film Canada. We'll maybe expand in a couple seasons and maybe go to the United States and even the European continents. We're not sure. For now, we focus on Canada just because it's kind of like our bio says. It's time for Canada to have a viable show up there as well, with all the great American ones.
Yeah, and you guys have some gooders.
There's so many amazing things to see and do, and I've been trying to do the YouTube live thing on my cell phone, but you can't do that until you get 1,000 followers. So you guys make sure you go to youtube.com/c/weareparadoxmedia. Like and follow so we can go on our cell phone. But there's other things that you can get on there, like Streamlabs and such. Supposedly, I've finally got it figured out on my computer, but to get it on my cell phone, that's a whole nother thing going on. Do you guys do a lot of live things online, or do you mostly do recordings and show them in theater?
Well, we've had a couple in theater. We're on the air now. We're on with Shaw Cable up here in Canada now. But in terms of the live thing, I mean, we do the live thing every couple of weeks.
Yeah, every 2 weeks we're live every Sunday.
And then when we go on location, we like to have fun. Like I'll pick up a phone. I'm a jokester. It's what I do. Dane's the same way. He's no different. So. When Karina's filming, I'll pick up the phone and I'll be like, oh, Karina left the phone alone with me. Let's start a live thing on location. So, things like that. So I like to have fun. I like our fans and viewers to know that, it's all about fun.
Yeah, that's my number one rule on this show. Number one rule, have fun. I don't do interviews like a lot of people do. I just like to hang out and hear your stories and your methods and such. Like we were talking about earlier with the EMF detector, if you have high EMF, like you were saying, it can cause a lot of issues. And I recently saw an investigation on TV where right next to the kids' beds, like where their heads lay and stuff. The EMF was so high, it can cause so many health issues. I think it can cause tumors, but really, like, seeing things that aren't really there, causing illusions and such like that. Even black mold can do that. It's really intriguing to see, is this really a haunting, or is this something due to the atmosphere? And that's where scientific method really comes highly recommended and important, because it could be, it's not paranormal, it's something in your environment that is triggering this.
Absolutely. That's right. And that's kind of the part of being an investigator that, you know, people have to understand. When we go into a home, investigators are going to tell you what they find for evidence. They're not going to tell you, yes, your house is haunted. No, your house is not haunted. Our job is to present evidence. But sometimes there's the flip side to the coin where we find no evidence. We find plausible explanations for things. And the thing is, a lot of people accept that. But there's the odd few that are like, no, that can't be it. You know, and it makes it difficult. But at the same token, it's part of the job. It builds to your credibility. It shows that you're not afraid to report the truth.
Have you guys ever come across a case where you go to investigate and you discover it's not really paranormal, it's something that's due to the environment?
Oh, yeah. It's like Karina was saying, the very first paranormal probe we filmed was in Kamloops. And we went to this house, and as soon as Dean and I got into the basement, the first thing we do is we bring out the millimeter and we do a full room sweep. And, you know, as soon as I brought the millimeter out, I couldn't believe the readings. The milligauss were off the charts, close to the fluorescent lights. And, you know, you go upstairs and it's the same deal. It's actually, they're so high it's bleeding through the floor. So, you know, we unfortunately had the task of saying, look, we didn't find anything, but this is what we found. We found that your EMF levels were through the roof and spiking, so you need to get somebody in here to take care of that and reshield everything. You know, it's for your own health. And we told them, you know, about the possible effects from really high EMF, where it'll actually affect your brain waves, it'll affect your physiology, you know, it'll affect your thought process. You know, like you said, you'll see things potentially. You'll hear things potentially.
And another thing, too, is somebody could have so much crazy activity going on in their house, and then we get there and nothing's going on. So we're only there for such a short period that, you know, chances of us getting anything are sometimes slim as well. I mean, we don't live there. We're not there 24/7.
It is really hard because sometimes I think things try to be deceptive and stay quiet when you come to investigate. So that's why it's important to go back repeatedly. Like you guys said, you stay there sometimes like 4 or 5 days trying to get evidence. Things try to be sneaky, try to be quiet, and try to hide from you. Even though you can feel them there, you know they're there, but they're not doing anything. They're just like, hey, let's stay quiet while this person is doing this investigation. So a lot of times when we do our preliminary, we'll talk to somebody away from the house, because a lot of these things are intelligent. They're not just residual. And they know what you're planning. So it's good to plan outside of the house and not talk about it in the house. Do you guys do anything like that?
Yeah, we always set a nerve up away from any investigative areas. And it's not just for that one specific reason. Again, it's for a reason of eliminating possible contamination with evidence, right?
There's also been instances where even before we leave to go and on this investigation, where, remember, we haven't even left the house yet, and something was affecting me and turned me into just some crabby cow. Like, it affected me. I remember I turned on
I remember.
I totally remember.
I was such a bitch. Yeah. And yeah, so anyways. And then, so it can affect you that way, where you know something doesn't want you coming. They're trying to make it hard for you. They're trying to affect you in any way they can. So I've had that happen.
Have you ever had a walk-in or possession?
I've had an attachment I've brought home before, and I've been crabby all day. I'm not myself, and it's not until the end of the night where I'm laying there in bed where I feel that something just left me, and I feel like somebody just took a whole weight off my shoulders, and I feel so relieved that I realized what happened. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Shut up.
It's the member berries.
It's like I wrote it down in my diary. Dear diary, today Karina was a total bitch.
It's kind of funny. Yeah, no, we remember that the Winnipeg one was probably the most notable. Like,
oh yeah.
Dean Trumbley and Denise Frockledge Trumbley, our producer and field producer, do the camera work for True North Paranormal as well. So they kind of got to know the ins and outs of Karina and the way she works. But yeah, the time you're talking about, even Kent, who hasn't filmed much with us, I mean, a couple times, Kent Mickey even picked up on it, and he's like, wow, she's a totally different person right now.
That was a nice way of putting it. I had a nap, and I was good.
I made that very PG. We watched
Feel free
MXC.
to express yourself however you may. But it's insane how these things can attach to you and cause issues like fights or contention or angry feelings or whatnot, and you know it's not you. And I've had a couple walk-ins. Most of them I don't remember, and it's only been a handful. The last one, I remember my husband wanted to talk to me outside of the house about some entity that was in here causing issues. He's like, come outside, I want to talk about it outside. I don't want to talk about it in here. So as soon as I went out the gate, something latched on to me, and I got really angry, and I started talking shit to my husband. And I could hear the words coming out of my mouth, but I couldn't stop them. And so what I did was turn around and walk away, but my head was still facing towards him and saying these angry words and things that didn't even make sense. And then as soon as I walked through the gate, I felt better, but I knew I had to distance myself because something was trying to cause issues and contention, and the best thing to do is to distance yourself. How do you guys protect yourself when you go on investigation to keep things from attaching to you?
I do a 5-minute kind of meditation. You know, I talk to my spirit guides. I do my thing. I guess everybody has their own little thing that they do. You know, ask for protection. I ground myself. What do you do?
Usually I'll get down on a knee and I'll talk to my ancestors.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
You know, I'll kneel before them. Yeah, no, I kneel before them. And, you know, my grandfather's a big one, obviously, because he was like a dad to me, right? Mm-hmm. Ever since he's passed, he's the one guy that when I'm muttering to myself, chances are I'm actually talking to him, and people just don't know it, right?
Yeah. Even in your head, they can hear you, I think.
Yeah,
totally.
Oh, yeah.
I like to verbalize it myself, just, you know, that's why I seem extra weird. Keep it creepy, right?
Yeah. Why is that guy talking to himself? I remember when the Bluetooth head things first started coming out, and I'm like, what the hell is wrong with that person? Then I realized they're talking on the phone.
Yeah.
I just thought there was a lot of crazies out there. I guess it was just me. They say there's one in every crowd.
Yeah.
I say.
So have you guys ever gone on location where they say there's activity, but especially for you, Karina, where you don't really pick up on anything because it is trying to deceive you and stay hidden?
It is frustrating when that happens. They're talking about all this activity that's going on, and then you get there and I'm like, there's nothing. I don't feel anything. So then you start wondering, am I missing something? Is there something wrong with me?
That's why we made the decision to not let you know anything.
Yeah, so that's why I don't know anything anymore. So I go in cold, I know nothing, and, you know, it works a little better that way. I have no, what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? No
preliminary knowledge as far as because the mind is a powerful thing, and I like to go in cold too. I like to go in, find what I find, and then compare that to the information instead of hearing it first and going in, because the mind is very powerful and it can trick you or deceive you into different things. So it's awesome that you do that.
Totally. We go as far as to actually try to not even tell her the name of the place we're going to. Like with True North, we've been very fortuitous with going to a lot of establishments in addition to homes, right? So when it comes to commercial buildings and such, we don't want Karina even finding the name of the building out. You know, this way it doesn't influence something. I mean, who's to say she didn't hear something 5 years ago just in a random blurb and now it's in her head, right? So
yeah.
we try to just
Yeah.
we're filming here. We're going to go meet Dean and Denise here, and then we're going to location, and that's kind of that. So Karina knows literally nothing.
It's a surprise.
Surprise!
I kind of feel bad for her because I'm usually like, all right, we're going filming, going investigate.
Yeah, and it's like I don't even know if I'm getting excited, so I know nothing. So it kind of sucks that way, but I'm used to it now, and I'm a mushroom, right? I'm a mushroom in the dark.
Yeah.
That's good.
Denise gave you the name.
That way you can grow.
Yeah.
Like a little mushroom. Underneath the turd. No. I like it that way, though, and it's interesting what you find in the different things going on. And it's funny, also, when you go into a place and there's not only a residual haunting, but there's an intelligent one. So their energy is there from their daily tasks, but then at the same time, they can intelligently be there and communicate with you.
Yeah, that's right.
Very
So,
cool.
Karina, when you go in, do you use different tools and such, or you just use your gut and your feelings and your instinct?
I just use my gut and my feelings. And what's been happening over the last few years is I've been getting visions and just weird things happening before I even go anywhere. And sometimes after I walk through a room, it's not for a couple of hours later. It's like I need downloading time, like processing time, where it's like, oh, I know what happened there. So it's kind of weird how my mind seems to want to download all this information about what I just walked through, and then, give me a couple of hours and boom, I can tell you a little bit more. So, I guess it's part growing.
And I think it's awesome the way our world is today as far as having all these paranormal shows out there and opening people's eyes, like people that are skeptics and such, and they're seeing these different things, which a lot of things are over dramatized, but there are really things happening out there, and it's more accepted today, the paranormal. And so I think it's really an awesome time that we're living in, where people are getting in touch with their not really religion, but spirituality and the other side. And a lot of people, my aunt Vicky, she's like, what makes you think that you're going to be communing with demons and Jesus is going to help you? I think God gave me this gift for a reason, And so why are you judging me and saying that there's not really ghosts, they're all demons? Even Jesus in the Bible said, it is I, Jesus. I am not a ghost. It is me. Even he talked about ghosts. I think ghosts exist. Like, I've seen so many different things. There's no way for me to deny it.
That's right, and I think a lot more people, there's still those people that are scared to talk about it, but, now it's a lot easier for people to come out. It's not like it was 20 years ago, that's for sure.
It was still taboo back then.
Yeah. I was a weirdo back then, now I'm normal.
Right? Now you're paranormal.
Yeah.
It's interesting how different religions don't talk about things like the Navajo, or they're originally named the Dene people. Even when somebody dies, they won't mention their name. If they see a skinwalker, they won't talk about it. Like different things like that, they won't talk about because they feel like it's giving them power. So they generally won't talk about it. There's a select few that I know that I grew up with and that I've met during my adult life that will talk about it, but for the most part, it's just like hush hush. Like, we're not going to talk about it. There's even police officers in the Navajo Nation that have experiences that are called the Paranormal Rangers. I've been trying to get a hold of them. I need a native to come on and tell me their lore because I just love it.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably the oldest culture on the continent. I mean, it's such a beautiful culture.
And it does seem a little bit hush-hush, and, they don't want to give anything power, and I guess I can understand that.
Belief is a big thing.
Yeah.
Yep. Strongest defense.
Yeah.
So have you guys seen anything as far as native, like skinwalkers, or I'm trying to remember what the other one is called. The Wendigo? Do you guys have stuff like that in Canada?
Well, we do have it in Canada. I think that's lore throughout the culture as a whole.
I haven't experienced anything like that yet.
Yeah, no, nor have I. Again, just because we haven't found the evidence of it isn't to say that it's not possible. It just means we haven't found the evidence.
That's right.
Sorry, I had to mute. I just inhaled my saliva. Yeah, it's crazy. Nice. The different things that do happen. And I grew up in Cortez. I moved there when I was 4. I've lived in Arkansas, Florida, Washington State, and then Colorado. My uncle was a nurse, and he wanted to go to Cortez. I remember when we were driving there, and I saw a sign that said something about Navajo, and I was like, Uncle Bill, what's a Navajo? Because I didn't know how to pronounce it, but it's amazing their history and such. And the Anasazi, like, they just basically disappeared. A lot of people believe that they went south and started a new tribe by a new name and such, but it's crazy how there was pottery and different things left. It's kind of like when people go into a place that was very haunted with a poltergeist or whatnot, and it's like they just picked up from their meal that they were eating and left everything behind because they were afraid if they brought anything with them, they'd be bringing that with them as well. So some people think that it was a major paranormal experience. Some people think that aliens came and just took them and, you know, planted them on another planet. Like, they're not sure exactly what happened to them. And it's interesting to look at their different housing and such. My mom had a crazy experience there where she saw 2 shaman in a dwelling down below. I think it's called a kiva. And she went down and she saw 2 medicine men as spirits doing some sort of, I can't think of the word right now. They were doing something, and they got really pissed off that she showed up. And then right after that, she felt like every car on the road was after her, and she ended up writing my grandpa a letter saying how she was going to die, how she wanted her funeral, so on and so forth. And when she showed up at my grandpa's house, I remember there was a really big argument. My grandpa telling her that she shouldn't be saying things like that. But she was like, it's true. This is how I'm going to die. This is when I'm going to die. And this is how I want my funeral. So it's interesting, like, how powerful that spiritual side is and how it can affect people.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Have you ever had a vision or whatnot before a case? I know you were talking about that lady that you had the dream about, and then you saw her on location. Have you had anything else like that happen?
I have had a vision. I'm still waiting for it to come to be, I guess, where I saw a shed. I can describe the shed with the slanted roof, all the greenery around it, a lot of greenery and rain and stuff. So I thought I was going to actually come across it at our last location, but I went looking around the property and I haven't seen it yet. So I'm still waiting to come across that one. But that's been happening more and more.
It's very interesting. My dreams have become like reality. It's like everyday life. So I don't feel like I'm resting ever. I need a break. It's weird the different things that are happening due to this lockdown and due to different, I think, stressors.
Totally.
It's crazy times we're living in. I never thought we'd be here.
No.
Never thought I'd see it in my life either, but here we are, and you know what? Let's just be good people and make the most of it.
Yeah, better ourselves. Take the time to better ourselves.
Totally.
Yeah, and help each other out. Like, raise each other up. Don't tear each other down. There's so many people out there that are wanting to bite each other's heads off, and that's not where we need to be. We need to be supportive of each other and help each other out in any way we can, because we're all in this together, even though we're apart, you know?
Yeah, no, it's very true. It's not forever. It's just for now.
Yeah.
So how exactly did you guys meet Dean?
Dean actually approached us.
Yeah, he was looking for somebody in British Columbia, I guess, that was doing paranormal stuff, and he found the Canadian Paranormal Society, and we happened to be an hour away. Yeah,
we ended up having Dean over here, and then we ended up going out to Dean's place in Falkland, BC, and we just, one thing led to another, and, you know, that was the start of this amazing journey that we're on.
Yeah.
It's just so amazing, and I'm so happy for you guys. So you guys started going on video about 8 years ago, or that's when you joined the group?
No, 8 years ago is when CPRS was still going. True North Paranormal's been, what, fourth? This is our fourth year?
4 years we've been going with True North Paranormal.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing about shows is they don't just happen overnight. Like, it's a lot of hard work. And if you'd have told me, 5 years ago I was going to be part of a TV show, I'd have probably laughed at you and said, no, I'm just a long-haired former musician. But no, there's a lot of work. Like, I behind the scenes, I mean, geez, I think I'm talking with locations for at least 4 to 5 months before I hand it over to our field producer, Denise Frockledge-Trumbley, to go and finalize everything.
Yeah, like almost a year in advance, everything is done.
There's so much work behind the scenes, so it's crazy.
But I love the tech work. Like, I love doing the investigation and filming and recording, so on and so forth, but I don't like going through the recordings or the voices, like the voice recordings and such. Like, I need a tech person to do that. It takes so much time and effort to do that, to listen to all this stuff.
That's right.
I know,
hours and hours.
Yeah, Dean, Denise, and myself all have footage from all of it. So there's 3 of us minimum. There's been times where, Dean's own children were pitching in and helping.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. Our kids will listen to it and go, hey, did you hear that? It's great.
Yeah.
So do you guys see in the near future, like, being broadcast in the United States? I know Travel Channel does a lot of Canadian shows. Has anybody, like, picked up any interest as far as putting you on the Travel Channel or Discovery or any place like that?
I'm not certain. Stuff like that's Denise's kind of area. When it comes to the TV show aspect and distribution, I don't really involve myself, and it's probably better that way because I just go cross-eyed listening anyway.
Right?
So the more I know, the less I understand. So I'm ginger, blonde, and Ukrainian. That's 2 strikes from birth. I mean, let's not add a third here.
At least you're not Polish. Just kidding.
There you go. Ouch.
Well, on that note, you guys, we are going to go to our second break, and on this break, we have Gravity from Krakow, Poland, with My Last Goodbye. We have Fred Johnson III, my favorite, with Sugar, and then we have Prime Example, which our person who gives us our music, Quest, he's a member of this group. So you guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this musical break.
So why don't Standing here on this cold, lonely night without you. The tension's overbearing. Wondering, are you coming back home again? To inspire fondness with love. Where did our love go wrong? My sugar. Why did I make you cry? Whispers flow through my mind when I think about you. That warm feeling in me. My heart sings a sad song and just melts away. Please look into my eyes, my sugar. There's life in out there. Until the sun doesn't shine anymore, I'll be there. When time is a memory, I'll know this love. You will always be the one, my sugar. The feeling is so strong. Waiting here on this cold, lonely night without you. Where did our love go wrong, my sugar?
Just got home, shower, get my I really love it how your body's so soft. Dance all night, little lady, it's your call. Step, 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 baby, follow my lead. You and me showing off for the club to see. No time to get rest, we doing our thing. Cha-cha, then we dip, top it off with a spin. Glide across the floor, let's do it again. By the way, little mama, can we be friends? I can't let this night just end. I really wanna know if I can see you again. Give me your number, we'll get back on the scene. We can hit another club if that's your thing. We'll be partners in crime, you and me, as we ripping up floors like two dancing machines.
Welcome back, you guys, and thanks so much for joining us tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. Tonight we're joined by John and Karina from True North Paranormal. Welcome back, you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us here.
Yeah. This is fun.
Awesome hanging out with you guys and learning about your investigations and experiences and such.
It's definitely been a wild ride for sure.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. I really do enjoy it myself.
Yeah, no, it's the best way. You know, if you're not enjoying it, even though you get freaked out from time to time, you're in the wrong profession.
I know, and like you guys were saying, it's like a hobby, but it's like one of the most expensive hobbies that you could take up. I mean, this equipment is no joke.
Well, no. I think Karina's part of it is as expensive as mine. Hers is kind of free.
I guess I'm cheap.
She just has to.
You say I'm cheap.
No, I'm saying it's cheaper to buy your tech than it is mine.
Yeah. My tech's built in, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, and I think that works, you know. My gut is the only thing that has never really let me down, and just listening to that, even, I think back in the day I had a psycho magnet in my head, because all the psychos were attracted to me, but now I can walk into a place and know who I want to talk to and who I don't want to, just by their energy. Do you get that, Karina?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I can tell right away whether or not I want to be your friend. Yeah, and just like when somebody starts talking, you can kind of know when they're lying or when they're embellishing or when you just something feels off.
Yeah, I've often said that I'm a human lie detector, and I've had people laugh at me, but try to lie to me and see if I don't pick up on it. The human race. It's a crazy thing. Okay,
Yep.
So we were talking about your different investigations and different things going on. Do you feel like, what is the oldest entity or spirit that you guys have communicated with?
The oldest.
I would have to say it would have been Paul, which is actually a name that is very weird to this day.
Paul is old?
Yeah, Paul was older. Paul was land, I believe. I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
The word Paul, I kind of got to say why I said that. It's kind of a weird name, but this name Paul has seemed to follow True North Paranormal around like crazy. Now, whether it's just a generic name or not, I don't know. I don't know the specifics on it, but it's weird because Dean and I'll crack jokes these days because we've heard the name Paul on 3 different investigations, and Dean's like, you know what? If I hear the name Paul show up in this one, we're packing it in right here. So yeah, no, Paul seems to like us.
Yeah.
So does he come on through, like, your ghost box, or do you guys have a paranormal puck where he comes through? Like, where exactly does he come through at?
It's typically been the SB11. We used to use the SB7, and we upgraded to the SB11. And yeah, it's only happened, like, I think 3 times, literally, but, you know.
Did he throw a bottle at you, a water bottle the first time?
Yeah, he threw a water bottle at me the first time.
Holy shnikes.
Yeah, you can see that on YouTube. It actually scared the crap out of me pretty good.
Yeah.
When they can physically do things, that's when it gets scary. I think it was around the time of the one you guys were talking about as far as the scary movie with Ed and Lorraine Warren, where they go into different places, and there was a part of the team that went up into an attic, I think, and this guy got strung up by a rope that was up there. Like, something tried to physically harm him.
Yeah. It can definitely be scary,
Yeah.
I guess, but again, I kind of hold true to my faith is going to be stronger. I roll with that, and I just, I put my faith in the spirituality, and I know I'm safe. That's just it. The big thing, and this is actually Dean saying, and I'm going to steal it. Dean, I know you're listening, but I have to share this. You don't turn into Superman when you die. You don't. You're just the other form. That's a big thing for people to remember.
Yeah, and that's another thing is if you're a crabby man in this life,
You're breaking up. I can't hear you. Okay, so you left off saying if you're a crabby man in this life. Now I can hear your mic. And then that's where it cut out.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're a nasty person in this life, chances are, after you die, you're going to be nasty as well. And then I think I don't know the rules over there, but I'm hoping that something gives you a chance to improve yourself.
Yeah, and I've said that many times. Like, you die, the person you are, when you come to, and the other side, you're still that same person. And sometimes a good spirit can turn bad, but I've never known of a bad spirit to turn good. I think it's possible, because I think anything's possible, but you are who you are, basically.
That's right.
You don't
There's
just
good
change
in all
because you
of us.
died.
Yeah, that's right. You're not.
The Brakeman, we've dealt with him quite a bit, and after Kate was released, we were trying to help Emmy and trying to figure out, why is she still here? Is she looking for her parents? How did she die? Like, what exactly happened? And every time we tried to communicate with her, the Brakeman would come in and use vulgar language and words and yell at her, and she'd go away. And then he'd stick around for a little bit, but then he'd leave too, and then we had nothing really going on. Have you guys had anything like that, where you're trying to communicate with a spirit, and then another one comes in and just interferes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the Sandin was kind of like that.
Sandin was that way. I believe that happened in Whispers to a degree.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It seems like that's not uncommon. It's almost like a territorial thing, I'd like to believe, but who knows?
I also believe that once you're stuck kind of on the other side, you didn't go to where you were supposed to go. I think the longer you're stuck in that nasty place, you start changing. You kind of lose your humanity, and it can go all sorts of wrong from there.
It's insane, because I've heard so many stories where obviously there's a light there, but the spirit is kind of confused. They don't realize they've died. They don't know what's going on, and they don't see the light. And sometimes it takes a person to say, there's a light there. Can you see it? Go towards that light. We actually had a friend on our network by the name of BTO, Beyond the Omniverse, and he used to talk about when you're born, your soul gets fractured, and he always thought that going to the light was a trap. And I never understood really what he was talking about. Have you ever heard anything like that?
No.
No, I haven't heard that. No. That's a scary thought.
It is. It's like, where do you go if you don't? Like, you could stay at your house, I guess, or you could go to your favorite place, but what does happen to you I mean, there's spirits out there. The very first apparition I saw, it was like 2 weeks before my mom got in her car accident. And it was a lady in a black lace dress with a black veil over her face, and she was about 2 inches off the ground. And I could hear her walking towards my door, and I was staring out in the hallway the whole time, looking at the reflection of, I don't know if you guys remember those, it's kind of like a picture frame shaped clock with the river flowing or the wind blowing and the leaves fluttering or whatnot. It was kind of like a little light thing. So I'd sit there and watch the light kind of bounce from this wall to that one and just stay awake, staring out in the hallway. And I heard these footsteps getting closer. And I was like, well, maybe I blinked and my mom walked by or something and I didn't see her. Like, that's the only thing that I could imagine until I saw her. And it was right the third time I was saying Mom. I was like, Ma. And then I quit saying it because I knew that wasn't my mom. Who the hell is that? She stopped in my doorway and she turned and looked at me. And then she turned and looked back down the hallway. And then I could hear my mom's door creak open and then close. So for the longest time, I thought she was the reason that this happened to my mom. But then later on, when my family got back together, my sister was telling me that she saw the same woman in her room. She was in there listening to her Michael Jackson record. And she turned around and that lady was there in her room. And she's like, who are you? What are you doing in my room? I'm trying to use my southern accent. And she said, close and lock your window. And she's like, I don't know why you're telling me that. Who are you and why are you in my room? And about the third time she said it, she got really stern. She said, close and lock your window. And we lived off the bend of this highway in Siloam Springs, Arkansas. My sister told my mom about it. My mom said, just do what she said, and then we'll check it out the next day and see if we find any evidence. And the next day we found footprints outside of my sister's window. So I think a hitchhiker or somebody tried to get in. Could have been that perverted relative that I remember. But somebody tried to break in that window that night. And she got so, irritated or angry or something to the point where her shoe prints burnt into the floor. And I saw a pair of boots about 6 months ago that looked the exact same as hers. They're like 1800s era boot. It's like a high heel pretty girl's boot that laces up above your ankle. I was like, those are what that lady was wearing. But I know she wasn't harming our family. She was trying to help us.
That's right. Yeah, I've heard that too, where you don't know whether, they're good or bad. And, you get scared when you first see them, but, they were just there to help you. And it could have been a relative even. Mm-hmm. That's freaky. Ugh.
Yeah, I often wonder who she is. I wish I knew her name or whatever. I hope she can hear me, because I thank her all the time for what she did, trying to help my family. My mom had so much stuff going on. She'd wake up with robed men around her bed. And my siblings just recently told me that my mom was practicing witchcraft, like white magic. And they found one of her books, and they were reading out of it. And they said a lot of stuff happened after that. So they feel kind of at fault for what happened. But I did for years, too. I got in trouble for my mom. And I said, I wish she would die. And then as soon as I said it, I took it back. But then about a week or two later, she passed away. Or was in the car accident. So I felt forever like it was my fault. Even though it wasn't. Everything happens for a reason. And it had nothing to really do with me. But as soon as I said it, I knew to take it back. But still, for years I had that guilt. And my siblings are still dealing with that. And thinking because they read out of this book that they had something to do with her death. But I don't think they did. I think she made her own bed.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, like you said, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, no matter how bad it is, it does. It really does happen for a reason. It makes us who we are and into the individual that we are. Have you guys ever had any interactions with, little goblin people or the devil or anything like that? Have you ever seen any anomalies like that?
To this day, I can say that as long as I've been investigating, I found no evidence of anything like that. No little goblins.
I have seen strange entities just being by myself. This is even before I met John, though. I've seen strange little entities in my neighborhood, and Yeah, that's where you can call me crazy. I don't care.
I would say that.
No, I've seen some strange things in my life.
That's what the paranormal is, though. It's
Yeah,
the
the
pursuit of
paranormal is
unknown.
all sorts of strange things out there.
Yeah, we were talking last night about the Hat Man. And my husband is like, there's no way that a certain entity can be many places at once, but this guy can. Like, he is everywhere. He's all over the map. So many different places. And most generally, he has souls under his control. Have you guys ever had to deal with the Hat Man?
We did research him, remember? For some reason. What was that for?
I can't remember. I think it was one of our live streams, but I don't think we actually had any cases involved.
Or somebody, I forget. I do remember having to research him. I don't know. I don't remember why. That was a while ago. Because I've never heard of him before. I remember that.
Yeah, I can't recall. It was a live stream. I can't remember what we were doing, but it was one of our live streams.
It was?
Yeah, it was an educational live stream.
She's like, man, there's so much stuff going on. I can't keep track.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I feel like I'm assholes and elbows, and I can't, I don't know what's up and down. But it is crazy. And I witnessed this at my grandparents' house. I think my grandparents' house was built on an Indian burial ground, even though my people before me are Cherokee, Irish, German, so on and so forth, Welsh, I think. But I refer to myself as Irish Cherokee. I think it was built on a burial ground. I know that I had so many experiences staying in my mom's room. And then as my family got back together, I was telling them about when I saw the devil. I actually had this dream where my bed started tilting up and I was scooted to the end of the bed, and the only way that I could stay on was to put my thumbs and fingers around the base of my bed, which was about a foot down from the mattress, to keep from falling in the hole. And then when I woke up, I was at the end of my bed, which really freaked me out. And then I was thinking about how realistic this dream was. And then all of a sudden I could smell smoke again, but it wasn't the cigar smoke or the sulfur smoke. It was cigar smoke. And I knew it wasn't my grandparents because they smoked velvet tobacco. And then I looked in my doorway, which I didn't have a door. I had lace curtains tied back on the side. And there was this dark figure standing there. And all of a sudden he took a puff off the cigar. And when the cherry lit up, like you could see his face and what he was wearing. And I swear to God, he was like the most handsome man I had ever seen. He was wearing a tuxedo. His hair was slicked back. And I didn't even say it out loud. I used to have nightmares all the time as a kid. My dad would say, God stands before me, Satan fall behind. I didn't even say it out loud. I said it in my head, and like just like that, I was knocked out. And then a couple nights later, I saw this light coming through my bedroom window. And it was weird because there was about 5 feet, and then there was a fence, and then there was the chicken yard. And there should be no light out there except for the regular ones on the barns and stuff. But it was like a fire. So I creep down and I look out the window, and there's this bonfire in the chicken yard. And there's these little goblin guys. The closest thing that they look like to me in reference that anybody would understand is gremlins, except for their ears were a little bit shorter, and they had like little pug noses with their mouths and their nose and such going on, and they had shiny looking skin. I couldn't tell if it was green or gray or what because it was dark. But they were going around the fire and they were beating on drums. Some of them had spears or daggers or different weapons, and then they stopped all at once and turned to look at me. And as soon as they stopped, I like slammed myself back in the bed. And you know that shield you got as a kid, your sheet? So I pulled the sheet up here, and I laid as still as I could, and I was holding my breath, and I could see the shadows coming up to the window, and they're chattering back and forth. They're not seeing anything, and then they go down the house. And then after that night, my brother started having these terrible nightmares where he'd run through the house, and he'd go into the living room, and then through the pantry room is what I call it. It had a stove, and then all my granny's like baking goods and stuff in there, and then the table with the cookie jar. She had like 5. We were high on sugar all the time. But he'd go into the kitchen, and then he'd run into the back door, which led out to the bathroom that was outside. But he'd run into that, come back, and there was a step about this tall, and he'd trip over it every single time, and he'd be scrambling away. And the very last time he did that, my grandparents caught him, and I swear to God, they were looking exactly at these little things, and I think they were helping them to collect on him, because after that, he never had those nightmares again, but he could not stay out of trouble. He is still today in trouble. It was insane.
Oh, wow. Holy crap.
And I talked to this lady when I was 21. I had my daughter, and I worked at the Best Western in Fayetteville, Tennessee. And I was telling her the story, and she said, the same thing happened to my cousin. And she called them kobolds. But when I look online and I see kobolds, they look more like gnomes with clothes and stuff. These look like gremlins. I don't know what the hell they are.
I think I was with the kobold. I think what I saw was a kobold. That's what somebody told me. But I've never seen something like what you saw. That's creepy.
Yeah, and the closest thing I can find online today is the Kentucky Goblin. It looks a lot like that, but it doesn't have glowing eyes.
Huh. Wow. Yeah, I think there's a lot of little beings that not everybody can see, and I think you have to be in a certain state of mind for you to see them, because that one that I saw, I've never seen him again.
So you said kobolds, so these were like little people? Were they like 12 inches or so?
Yeah, I saw him just a little guy, and he was walking down the sidewalk, and he was like wobbling, all clumsy-like, and it was like actually quite comedic. Yeah. And it was like he was wrapped up in paper, like a mummy, and it looked so ridiculous. And I just kept walking, and I was looking at this thing like, what in the hell is that? And I kept walking down to the street, and it wasn't until I got to the end of the street, I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why didn't I stop? Why didn't I follow that thing? What kind of mind control was going on there? Because if I was thinking clearly, I would have followed that thing. But instead, something said, keep walking.
Keep walking.
So it was just one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me.
Similar to your story, I saw that it was on Wildcat Canyon Road in Coxville, Arkansas. I was living with my sister at the time. And, of course, I could not go to sleep. And I heard this noise coming from beyond the kitchen, which is like the laundry room and where my sister's room is. So I was like, cool, she's going to come out. We're going to play Scrabble and spend time together. She never came out. And I'm like, what the hell is that noise? And then all of a sudden, this little guy pops up. And there's this shelf area where she had books and stuff underneath. And then there's a space of about 14 inches. And then you have where she keeps all her coffee cups and stuff. And I saw this little guy walking, and then there was another guy behind him. And the first guy was wearing like a t-shirt that came to here that was white, and he had like some jeans on. And the other one was totally hillbilly style. He had these coveralls on, but he didn't have a shirt. And they're all chattering back and forth. I can't understand what they're saying. And then the first one sits there, and he starts kicking his legs. And the other one comes behind him and pushes him. And he turns around and grabs and he pushes back up. And then they start fighting and squabbling. And I'm like, I'm going to go in there right now because they're not going to see me. And as soon as I sat up, I couldn't see them anymore because the door frame got in the way. There's the door and then there's the wall. So when I sat up, I couldn't see them. And I go around the corner and they're gone. I'm like, where the hell did they go? But I refer to them as little people, but they could be kobolds or gnomes or whatever. I think they're the reason your socks disappear and other clothing.
I agree.
Only the left sock.
That makes sense.
Only the left one. Why is there only one? I put them both in here. Now they're gone. That's insane.
Yeah.
This world is really amazing. There's so many things out there to discover, and a lot of people don't see it. Have you guys ever, besides Dean, have you guys ever been able to help somebody to be able to comprehend or see the other side?
No. The thing is, my approach has always been, it's not my job to make you believe anything. My job is to just tell you what I found. It's up to you to make your own decision and come to your own understanding after I present evidence. So I've never been one to try to convert or to encourage belief.
We have had, a probe, or no, it wasn't even a probe. We went to help somebody out in their house, and after discussing with them about what they're seeing, we discover that this person is an empath. So once you discover that, they have a million questions, so you kind of direct them in places to go. So that's how I kind of can help with that, because, I mean, if you don't know what's going on and all of a sudden you can do this, that, and the next thing, you kind of want to give them some direction.
I had this lady come to me and she's like, I've never seen a ghost before. I believe, but I've never saw one. And I'm like, you just have to open yourself up to these things and eventually you might see something. And she's like, what can I do? And I'm like, just open up your belief system, like believe that it can happen and eventually it will. And it was funny, about 3 weeks later, she got back a hold of me and she said, I was going to Gem Village, which is about a mile down the road, and picking up my kid from daycare, and I saw this old lady in the backyard with the kids. And I went in, and I was like, oh, it's so nice that you got help now. You got your grandma helping you or whatever. And she's like, I'm the only one here. And she's like, I just saw an old lady in the backyard with the kids. And she's like, no, I'm the only one here. And then she pulled out a picture, and she's like, is this her? And she's like, that was her. And that was her grandma that passed away like a month before. So that was awesome. She was actually finally able to see something.
That's awesome. Yeah. The mind is a powerful thing. It can do amazing things.
And scary things.
Yeah.
I knew a guy named Brother Rankin. He was a part of the church, but he was very spiritually aware. And he would always tell us to try to control our thoughts, because the mind is a powerful thing, and to control your thoughts is a major tool. And I learned that from him, but then later on in life, I had a car accident where it was probably about 20, 30 miles up the road. We were going on Piedra River Road, and I was in my Toyota Tercel, and there's like 1,000-foot drop-offs on the side of this road. And on the way back, I was somewhat irritated at my nephew because he didn't want to ride back with me. He wanted to ride back with his cousin. And so I'm driving faster than I should on this road, and he wasn't my husband yet. He was my boyfriend at the time, and he's like, you need to slow down. You need to slow down. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. I'd never do anything to hurt you. And then all of a sudden I hit some corduroy or ridges in the road, and it caused the car to go back and forth like this. And the first time it went this way, it was like a 500-foot drop, and then it went back this way, and then it went back this way. And then when we went off, it was about a 50-foot drop. And on the way up there, I was thinking, if I ever died in a place, I want it to be a place like this because it was so beautiful. And then after that, I didn't think thoughts about that anymore because the mind is a powerful thing, and you could cause stuff to happen. And I was like, holy shnikes, I almost killed all of us.
Jeez, yeah. Yeah.
We had to go back the next day to make sure our bodies weren't still in the car.
Wow.
It's probably a logical decision.
Yeah, that is freaky.
It was so unreal. My 357 lever action flew from the back and hit me in the back of the head, and the roof came down on top of my seat, and the lever action was stuck in between the seat and the roof. But I had like a mild concussion from that. And then Tyler, our Dalmatian, went through the moonroof, which is like a sunroof, but it's open. And the car landed on him on his back end and his head, but his middle portion was in the moonroof. So it was funny because there were so many pine needles and stuff that it was like a cushion. So when we flipped the car off of him, he lived for years after that. It was insane.
Oh, wow.
But
that was lucky. Whew.
Yeah, control your thoughts. Don't think stuff like, if I ever died in a place like this, I want to be like here, because it could happen.
That's right. Positive thoughts.
That's right.
Positive. Yeah.
It was crazy because a couple months later, they actually found a car full of people that had gone up there hunting. And it was a hunter in the riverbed down below, which was about 1,500 feet down below where the tree stopped us from going off. And they found bodies down there that had been there for at least a couple years. So it's insane what can happen.
Yeah.
Life is a gift.
That's
it is
right.
the most
That's
precious
right.
one you get.
Yeah. Crazy.
Indeed. So do you guys have any other stories that you'd like to share with us that you've experienced in the realm of the paranormal?
I'm trying to think here, that what can I talk about that's not in an episode? Like that's the big thing. I don't want to give away the episodes, right? Like things that haven't aired yet. Because got to be careful there.
I could talk about stuff that hasn't even happened while filming. Where, I'm just out and about doing my, life thing out in the store, and I hear a disembodied voice, and other people are hearing them too. They're like, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "No." And, you hear just laughter out of nowhere, and it happens a lot. It happened downstairs yesterday.
Wow.
Crazy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the boys are heard. Did they? Or like, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "No." But it's been happening more and more over the last few months, I think. Just voices out of nowhere, laughter. It's like, what was that? Was that you?
You're just going bonkers.
Yeah, I'm just bonkers.
It's all the timers. I have it too. But my kids will come in. "Hey, Mom, were you calling me?" "No." And my daughter, okay, we have a doppelganger. And it showed up several times in my house. And it took a break, but it's back again. And it's taken the form of not just myself, but my oldest daughter. But she said she saw me the other day a couple times. And she was talking to me and I wasn't answering. And she looked around the corner like, "Why aren't you answering me?" And I wasn't there. But at least this time it was wearing the same clothes I was instead of wearing the white dress, which I think it knows now is a dead giveaway. If I'm wearing the white dress, it'll know that I'm the doppelganger. So it's wearing the same clothes. I was wearing my Alcatraz Psycho Ward outpatient sweatshirt. And she saw me over by the plants. She saw me by the table where my son's homework is. And I wasn't answering her. And she's like, "Why aren't you answering me?" And then she told me that what she saw away from the kids, because they're very adapt to that stuff too, and it really freaks them out. Like, they won't go to the bathroom alone. Do you have that issue with your kids where they're in fear?
No, they're pretty okay with it.
They're kids of investigators who've been around it long enough where it's like they're kind of like me. They don't get phased.
If they get annoyed and they're trying to sleep and something's bothering them, they're like, "Go away, I'm trying to sleep." And after that, it's usually all good.
Yeah, I get on to them. I'm like, "This is your house. You should feel safe. You don't need to do that." But there's spiders in there. So it's the spiders, I guess, and not the ghosts, which is good. But
I have a big issue with spiders.
Yeah. There's spiders. We got black widows. We got jumbo spiders. We got brown recluses. We got all kinds of stuff.
They got the same spiders we do.
Yeah, we have the same spiders. Yeah.
So it's the mountains, I think.
Yeah.
It must be. So you guys have a particular show. Where can our listeners find your show to watch it?
Okay, I believe it's only right now in Western Canada.
That's right. It's only on Shaw Cable. But, you can go to the Shaw Cable Spotlight website and have a look, and you'll be right there.
But we have a lot of stuff on our YouTube channel.
www.youtube.com/True North Paranormal.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm totally going to check that out tonight. Put myself to sleep to it. I say tonight, but it's actually going to be really early in the morning.
Yeah.
Last night it was like 5 or 6. Tonight, who knows? I was so tired last night. I'm tired today too, but I have so much fun on the after party I can't go to bed. It's good to have company.
Yes, sounds
when
fun.
You're having your insomnia acting up.
Oh, yeah.
Have you guys ever experienced sleep paralysis?
Yes.
Yeah, I've had some pretty strange sleeping issues. Go ahead, tell your story.
Yeah, mine terrified me to this day. It's going to make my hair stay. It is right now thinking about it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the creepiest thing I've ever experienced in my life, and it only happened once. But Karina when I first moved to BC, Karina was working as a dispatcher in a cab company. So I was sleeping in the apartment by myself. And I got woken up, and I saw this gray shape stand straight up and lean over me, and I could feel its breath, and I felt pressure on my chest, and I couldn't move. And then as quickly as it was there, it stood up, and then down it went, and never saw it again. So I called Karina right away. I'm like, "This just happened here. This was creepy. I don't know what it is, but it terrified me." I didn't sleep.
You had a nightmare. I figured I brushed it off.
Yeah, so... Yeah, no, that's the only instance.
What about you, Karina?
Now, I was on some medication. I was on antibiotics, so I don't know if it had anything to do with that. But, I was having a fever, and I had to move out to the couch because I couldn't sleep in the bed. And anyways, it was like I kept waking up. I woke up, and I was in the kitchen, and I couldn't open the fridge. And all of a sudden I woke up again, and this time I'm getting sucked into the fridge. And it was like a series of waking up, and then all of a sudden I woke up again and I'm on the couch, and this all happened within seconds. It was just the weirdest thing. And it was so real though. And when I was looking around, I felt like it wasn't really my house. It was like the Twilight Zone version of my house. It just didn't feel right.
Like another time.
Yeah, it was just so weird. I've never experienced that again. So I don't know if it was the medication I was on or... That was weird, though.
The first time I had mine, I was in MRP after combat training because I'd been injured, and I decided to take a nap, which is really odd for me. Today I will take naps whenever, but when I was younger, I didn't want to miss anything. But I was really tired, so I decided to take a nap on a rack that was not mine. It was like right there by the restroom, which we call the head. And I had this really crazy dream that I'm going into the bathroom, and every time I've had an out-of-body experience, I'm really staggery, like I'm really drunk. And I go into the bathroom, and there's these guys in there, and they're redressing the bathroom, like decorating it and fixing things, and I'm... a female in the military, I'm trying to flirt with these guys, and I'm leaning on the sink and so on and so forth, and then I hear this drill instructor, she's not drill instructor, but she's our sergeant, and she said, line up for chow. And so I try to wake up and go to line up for chow, but I can't. Like, my eyes are open, I can see everybody running for the door, but I can't move my body. And I'm trying with all my might and all my will to move my body, but I can't. And then finally I was able to reclaim my body and move my muscles and sit up and run to line up. For about a week after that, my body was so sore because I strained so hard to try to wake up that I really did strain my muscles quite a bit. And then the second time it happened was... about 13 years ago, and my husband's in a band, he plays bass, and we went down to Farmington, New Mexico, and we're playing at this bar, which has a house in the back, which has very few windows. It's mostly just a brick structure, barely any windows. In the room we were staying in, there was no windows, but you could see the light coming in through the door, and we're messing around, and then we decided to take a nap, so we're rested for the night. And all of a sudden, my husband, like I said, asleep right away. I'm trying to go to sleep, and then all of a sudden, my body's frozen, and I see this figure in the dark that's darker than the dark. And he's communicating with me telepathically, and he tells me that he's going to have me. And I was like, no, you're not. And he laughs, and he's like, yes, I will. And then he leans down. When he laughed... you could see his teeth like glowing and sparkling in the dark, and he had really sharp like fangs and stuff. And he leaned down and kissed me, and as soon as he did, through my canine teeth, this shock went through my head and then through my body, and at that point I could move my feet. And so I started kicking my feet frantically, trying to wake up my husband because no sound or anything is coming out. I can't wake him up. And all of a sudden he wakes up and grabs me because he sees him too. He grabs me and pulls me towards him. And then this guy disappears. And that was the freakiest thing I think that has ever happened to me. Even the next day when I was driving to work, I was looking in my rearview mirror thinking he was going to be in the back seat or something. I was so freaked out by it. But I don't think it's a normal sleep thing. I think it's something other than that. What are your thoughts?
That's right.
I know science has proven a lot of it is actually a neurological condition where your mind... isn't quite awake yet, which causes the paralysis, but I'd be a horrible paranormal investigator if I said that was always the cause. Mm-hmm. I'd like to believe in the realm of possibilities, not just rule out because of, specific documented incidents. There's also documented incidents where it wasn't proven by science that it was your brain waking up late. So
a lot of my out-of-body experiences have happened where I wasn't expecting it to. It's like, how did I do that? Why can't I do it again? But I remember once I was coming back into my body, and I'm watching my body slide down the bed, and I can't move. And it's like and I could feel it moving down the bed because I was on a waterbed mattress. And you know how that shiny feeling, and I felt myself moving down, but I can't move. And it finally, I was able to get up, and I went and told my friend in the living room, oh my God, you should have seen what just happened to me. It was so weird. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't know how I did, and I wish I could, perfect that.
It's so traumatic.
What was I?
I don't want to do out-of-body experiences because I've had things trying to get into my body for so many years, and I've had things take control of me. So I feel like if I leave my body, something's going to jump in and I can't get back in. The only time that I know that I had an out-of-body experience, I was at my friend Gloria's house, and that's where I got my outpatient sweatshirt. She went to San Francisco, and she didn't go to the prison, but her husband did. He went to Alcatraz. She's afraid of being on islands or on a body of land in the middle of nowhere, like in the middle of water, so she didn't go, but she bought me a sweatshirt. But I'm at her house, and I'm watching these paranormal shows, and I'm kind of drifting off to sleep on her couch, and all of a sudden, I'm on the floor on all fours, and I'm trying to crawl, but I keep falling this way and that, and I felt like a drunk baby, is what I describe it as, like a drunk baby, because I'm trying to control my physical body, but I'm not in my physical body, so it's not working. And I look behind me and I see my body. And I'm like, oh my God, I died. Like I had a heart attack or something. And so I crawl back to my body and I crawl back into it. And then I sit up and I'm like, holy shit, that was crazy. Like, I don't want to astral travel, but I think I accidentally left my body at that point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens, especially if you don't want it to. I mean, I don't understand. I'm still learning.
I know. I don't think we'll ever have all the answers, but life is so intriguing, and it is a gift. It can seem really hard at times, but there's a lot of people that don't get this opportunity that we do, so I think we should make the most of it and help each other out. And doing the paranormal thing, there's not a lot of help out there as far as the paranormal goes. So I'm so grateful that you guys are doing that and you're helping people up there in Canada.
So
thank you.
It's one of those. I love the A. It's one of those things. I know for us, it's kind of like a calling, right? Like you really think when things get bad enough, you're calling paranormal investigator to come investigate your house. We're kind of the last line of defense. And by that point, people have already had this big mental fight with themselves. My God, everyone's going to think I'm crazy and stuff.
Yeah.
So, you know what, to anybody that calls an investigator group in your area, good job.
Yeah.
That takes strength. It's hats off.
A lot of courage, because you do receive judgment. And my daughter, when the Hat Man first started messing with her in her house, he was only affecting her, and her boyfriend and his brother, which was her roommate, was making fun of her. And then they started getting that experience, and then they're like, oh, now I know what you were talking about. And it all happened when they went up in the attic. And this house used to be an old Catholic church. Up in the attic, there was a box full of tapes, like tapes.
Cassette?
Yeah. And there was also a satanic Bible, and there were these black rocks with bubbles on them. And her friends took the satanic Bible, and they took the rocks. They threw away the tapes, and I'm like, dude, you should have given those to me, because I could have listened to them and seen if there was, like, exorcisms or something on there. But they threw them away. But after they went up in the attic is when the Hat Man came and started messing with them. That was really crazy.
Wow.
That would be.
Crazy. They disturbed something.
Yeah, I think once you have a church and you quit having a church, you should get rid of that building. Even though a lot of things stay in the land, that structure is holding so many things.
That's really
She also told me of an experience. She fell asleep watching Netflix, and she woke up and she saw this guy on the floor with his knees up to his chest, and his hair was disheveled and blonde, and he was wearing these boxer shorts, but they were like really tattered and torn, and he was like rocking back and forth, and she thought at first it was Timmy, but then she realized Timmy was in bed, so she ran past it and went to the bedroom, and Timmy was there. And then I realized later on, maybe that's Timmy in the future because he started using drugs, and she ended up leaving him and stuff. So maybe that was a projection of what he would become because of what this entity was trying to do to them. Or did to them.
Yeah. There's a possibility.
A possibility.
I went, there was a period after that. There's a possibility.
No, you went a possibility.
I'm like, damn it, you guys are breaking up. I can't hear you anymore. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. There it goes.
Slowly moving.
That was so weird.
Yeah.
Go away, Hat Man. The internet is crazy.
Gross.
But like you guys said, you got storms going on and stuff, so that could be interfering with your internet. Hopefully, the show is going off without a hitch. But the paranormal really does interact with electronics. Like, I don't know how many times, depending on the guest. Paratechnical issues is what I call it. We're having paratechnical issues.
Yeah. It's true. We've actually gone in and had that a few times ourselves. I know my SB11 when we were in Fort Steele. Our field producer Denise, she ended up going and getting I think 2 or 3 different 9 volts because they kept getting drained.
That's right. Yeah.
It was crazy.
Go through a lot of batteries.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's probably
what they
the
draw
most.
off of. And some people say, draw off of my energy, which is not good. Like, don't do that.
No.
Because then something can attach to you because you open yourself up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I always direct. Yeah, just go for the batteries. They're there.
Yeah.
That's the best route.
We brought extras.
That's right.
I just recently bought rechargeable batteries, which I did years ago, and then I don't know where they went, but now I have a new set of rechargeables for my tools because they get drained, and my Periscope 360, I left the batteries in there so long that the acid came out and there's corrosion, and I'm trying to figure out how to clean it up. I can use baking soda and stuff, but you don't want to get moisture in there, so I don't know how exactly to clean it up. Like, what do I do?
Toothbrush.
And baking soda, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we go through a lot of batteries, especially being, a TV show and we're on location for a long time. We go through tons of batteries. Like, if you were to look at True North Paranormal's kit when we show up on site, you'd see tons of batteries, and there's as many batteries for the 4K cameras as there is for the tech, and there's just so many batteries.
Yeah, you just never know.
It's insane.
And
The different
John
things
has
that
to
they're drawn to. Go ahead.
John has to have gummy worms when we're filming.
What about gummy sharks or gummy frogs?
The sugar-coated gummy worms. That's what keeps me going.
Last time I couldn't find any, though. I came up with a mixture of...
Yeah, it worked.
My secret tool is... Okay, so I have Monsters that I drink, sugar-free ones, because sugar is bad, okay? But pineapple and peanut M&Ms.
Oh, I love peanut. I used to love those peanut M&Ms.
That's my keep me up all night thing. Like when I do overnight security, that's what I eat is peanut M&Ms and pineapple. Perfect.
Wow.
Yum.
I'll stick to my gummy worms. There's nothing like a sugar buzz all night.
What about Sour Patch Kids? Do you ever eat those?
I do. I love those things.
They are good.
They're like candy crack, but the trouble, there's just not enough of them, right? Like once you hit 3 a.m. on day 3 in the place, and you've had maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep per day, so you've had a total in 3 days of 15 hours sleep. Those guys aren't gonna cut it.
No.
At first they're sour, then they're sweet. I love those commercials.
Yeah.
And the chick's coming in from staying out all night, and he does the alarm, but then he gives her clothes to cover up her scampiness. Somebody keeps knocking my phone off. Jeez, oh Pete, stop it. Whatever you are, knock it off. Well, I'm so grateful that you guys came in. Can you once more give our listeners your website, where to find your videos, and how to keep up with your guys' adventures?
Oh, absolutely. So you can find us at www.truenorthparanormal.com. You can find our videos at www.youtube.com/truenorthparanormal, and we're on Facebook, www.facebook.com.
www.facebook.com. Then you went away. You're frozen. Hopefully you'll be unfrozen shortly. Damn it, Storm. Knock it off. Okay. I can hear you now. You're back.
There we go. She's back.
That was so weird.
Yeah.
Well, at least we're at the end of the show, and we don't have to worry about the rest of the time if we're going to come through or not. But yeah, that was insane. You said your website and then you were gone. That was really weird.
Okay, our website is truenorthparanormal.com.
Then
YouTube.
youtube.com/truenorthparanormal, and facebook.com/truenorthparanormal. Holy crap. That was one breath.
Yeah.
I know all the time when I'm reading off the places I'm at, I'm like, and here and here and here. And I had technical issues too when I was trying to read your guys' stuff, and it kept restarting, and I'm like, where the hell am I at? And I felt so unprofessional doing that because it doesn't generally happen, but it just really depends on the energy in the atmosphere. Like, we're connected through the internet, and then we got all kinds of stuff going on. You guys have your haunting, which I know John doesn't like that word. I have mine. Yeah. We have our visitors.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it's because we're True North Paranormal and we like to keep it creepy.
Yeah.
That's right.
There you go.
I thank you guys so much for coming on, and it's been awesome. I hope to have you guys back sometime soon.
Absolutely. You let us know. We'll be back.
Yeah, you're great.
It's been a pleasure.
I've loved having you guys on, and I've really enjoyed my time with you, and I really look forward to doing it again. And our listeners are really intrigued. I have Dennis Dyke from Canada, and he's really been enjoying you guys, and everybody else in the chat room has too. Mooney said, keep it creepy crawly.
There you go.
That's awesome.
But we do have an after party if you guys want to join and talk to some of our, not favorite listeners, but they're the ones that hang in there on the after party after the show and ask more questions. So if you guys want to come in, I can add you to that.
How do we do that?
I don't know. How do we do that?
What I would do is hang up on this conversation and then add you to the other Skype conversation, which is called the WAPM After Party, WAPM After Party. We are Paradox Media.
Okay.
And then you can get to know our listeners and hear our shenanigans. We got so much stuff going on.
And what time is that at?
Oh, it's right after the show.
Oh, it's right after this.
Yeah,
Well,
if
we
you
have a
wanna
little
take a break.
that we have to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a guy that we got to get to bed.
Okay.
You wanna
Well,
do
I was
that?
going to say, what I could do is, like, add you guys on, and then if you aren't able to come on right away, then you could see the green join button, and you click on that, and that would bring you into the conversation. But if you guys, have issues sleeping or whatnot, and you want to hang out with some paranormal, like-minded people, it's a really good place to hang out. We have some really good-hearted, good people in there that have so many different experiences and different things to say, and yeah, it's just too much fun. I stay up way too late doing it.
It's awesome.
Awesome.
It's like a bad medicine for me.
That works.
Oh my. Bon Jovi quotes. Here we go.
Ooh, Bon Jovi. Yes. Very nice. I heard he came up with a new COVID-19 song, but I haven't heard it yet.
Oh, I haven't either.
I was never really a fan.
I got to look into that.
Here we
I
go.
used to love him back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
You can
I love the 80s and 90s.
Bon Jovi. He kind of ages, but he kind of doesn't. It's kind of creepy. It's like a skeleton in the crypt where the hair keeps growing, but the face stays the same.
It's the Bon Jovi method.
That's
Tried and true.
Tried and true Bon Jovi method. Well,
right.
thank you guys again so much for being on
Awesome.
the show. I have really enjoyed myself, and
Absolutely.
you guys have been a blast. I'm so grateful that you guys decided to come on.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Well,
Thank
thanks
you
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
And take care and stay healthy down there.
I'm trying. If I could
For
just keep
sure.
the old man in the house, would be all good. Well, nighty night, love and light to you guys. I'm so grateful again for having you guys on, and thank you so much for sharing your experiences, paranormal and the like. But I hope to have you guys back soon.
You betcha.
If you guys want to join us on the We Are Paradox Media After Party, just look me up at tessa.n.thomas30 or give me a call at 1-970-335-9596. Hope to see you guys there. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. Don't forget, we're all in this together. Together we can make the world better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no